when he's clutching in game, yeah, I go like this, and Derke and me, we go, hey, yo, go high five, bro, and we go like this. I have Ball Derke behind me, but don't worry, next week I'm gonna have maybe Alpha Year, and then the week after I'm gonna have Mystic, and then I'm gonna have Boaster, but not the face of Boaster, you know the...
Oh,
yeah?
okay.
Oh, yeah. I know that one. What is up, fellow Valoranters, to another episode of Valoranting, episode 103. As you can tell on the screen, there is no Uber Mitchman Mitch Leslie. I was going to call Mitchman whatever, but we have actually a replacement. Somebody who is supposed to be cosplaying as a Chamber coming up right now. So, Doug, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah, I don't know, man. At some point, my chat decided that it would make sense for me to cosplay as Chamber. Okay, I need to make something perfectly clear. The reason that I'm not necessarily on board with this, let me explain, okay? At an event I was working in LA, the Undercity Nights event, I met someone who was cosplayed as Chamber. Incredible cosplay.
I remember that
The guy
one.
was outrageously tall. Right?
From Latin America or something, right?
Yes, exactly. And look, I'm very tall. I'm 6'9". So for him to be outrageously taller than me just goes to show that he was at least 16 feet tall. There's no way I can cosplay as a Chamber who's that tall. It's just not possible.
So how tall is that on a box here, Doug?
Oh, I don't know. Probably like 26 feet, 27. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I saw
Probably.
you towering over Ball, Doug. I mean, we
That's what I'm
locked
saying.
eyes. Of course, myself and Doug, we share the same kind of genetic base code.
Mitch, you're short, man. Shut up.
Listen, I might be an inch shorter than you, Doug, but you're pushing on 7 feet at this point. It's I can't keep up. But listen, we both have those little scratches on our head from hitting those door frames. I know that.
Bro.
It's something else. But I've seen Ball cower at the feet, at the knees of this man.
So we talk about cosplay, so of course I'm gonna have to stay as a cosplay as Uber. So I kept my hair blonde for today too. So we're gonna keep that. Yeah.
Oh my God,
what's it up, cunts? Can I say that?
I don't know that you can.
I mean, that's what he says. I mean, I like I said, I'm cosplaying to fucking Uber. Anyways, another person that needs to talk and use a box is of course Mitchman. Mitchman, how's it going today?
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, but it was going very well until you said that. Yeah, things are going well. It's been a pretty chill week.
Chill week. I mean, we had nothing but good matches going on for the whole weekend for the VCT.
Weekend,
so yeah, let's go ahead and talk about those topics that we're gonna run through the show today for Valoranting. Of course, it has been nothing but great storylines for all of those teams that keep grinding through the Mickey Mouse tournaments and to continue to reap what they sow. E.g., 100 Thieves, Ghosts, stellar performances, big wins, and we're going to cover that today for the NA VCTs. We're going to have Doug, of course, already on with us, but later on, Syyko from XSET, he'll be joining us as well to talk about the NA VCTs. And on the other side of things, though, for EMEA, it seems as though things have been starting to shape up already with like some dominant teams such as Fnatic continuing their dominance and other teams already locked into Group A. There's only Group B where we're trying to figure out what's going to happen, but we will still talk about what's going on for the EMEA VCTs, and we'll have Enzo and Zescht going on with Mitchman to talk about that in EU. And by the way, we are sharing responsibilities and hosting capabilities, so I'm going to be doing the NA's part, and then Mitchman's going to be doing the EU part. So it takes two people to do Uber's job. That's how good he is, and that's how it's going to go down. How do we feel about that?
I was just honestly really concerned that you were going to run out of time.
No
I
way.
thought for sure you were done for, man. He's adding all these words in there that weren't necessary. I thought, this guy's done.
Listen, smaller eyes, peripheral view. I have the whole vision of my 3 monitors and a timer at the bottom right corner. I see it count down. Daniel and Ian, the producers, are like, hey, if you only say 2 lines, you're fucking fired. So I just kept talking, then I saw the timer, boom, time to go. So I think I'm able to do it. I think even Alchemist is pretty happy about that one as well.
You've got the skills. You missed the buzzer. You know, Uber could learn a thing or two from you, Vince. I'll tell you that. He needs the timer. I don't think you do.
I'm going to put my hat back on, though, because I look disgusting as an Uber cosplay. But let's go ahead and start talking about the NA VCTs. These are the Week 4 Stage 2 results. Doug, anything that actually hits you in the eye when you're looking at these results from the past weekend?
I think we had a banger every single day, right?
Yep.
Like EG over Optic was massive.
Yep.
Ghost, TSM, Luminosity, Cloud9. Like there was genuinely a good match to talk about every single day. And in a couple of days, there were 2 that were worth talking about. I think the EG over Optic one is obviously the most surprising, the most shocking. But again, there were bangers across the board, man.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the second one as well for me that really hits me is the 2-0 that Luminosity got over Cloud9. So it's nice that, you know, we're still able to call him LG for the rest of the stage, but hopefully, you know, with whatever's going on with the roster, they'll be able to find something, you know, hopefully during the playoffs or somehow throughout their career here. Imagine if they make it to Masters 2, and then they're going to have to play without the banner of LG. Would it kind of be like a mech? Do you think a mech would have a team by then, Mitchman? Like a team name, an org?
I mean, that's a very complicated question though, because I think mech realistically at the moment they're facing a decision that I can't say 100%. I'd imagine most of them, if not all, are moving. Excuse me, out of Russia. They're going to be in a position then where they'll have to either cut ties with their org, essentially, like they're not. See, they might. You don't know if it's going to be over in 6 months, right? If it's over in 6 months, then you kind of want to go back to the org that you've got all that history with, and so on and so forth. When they're clean, when everything's, you know, sorted out. But I mean, I probably would have said the same, you know, 2 months ago. I would have said, hey, yeah, in 2 months, you probably hope it's all going to be clean. So I think that kind of hits you, and then you think, well, I don't know. At this point, it comes down to whether they want to go to another org or whether they want to just, you know, see what happens. They don't need one right now. They're set up. You know, the org would obviously help them.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're in a shortage of offers right now. If they want to, they could take one right now, right here, right now. I'm sure the majority of tier 1 teams are thinking, if they're thinking about especially like getting into the franchise next season, you want that team. That team will get you in 100%. 100%.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Still a tough battle right now for EMEA, is still trying to figure out what's going to shape up towards Group B. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Let's focus on Group A and B for the NA VCT, starting off here with Sentinels and FaZe. And Doug, we're going into this matchup. Sentinels, of course, have been having roster issues for the past 2 weeks. We also were on a really big high about Raucus and his performances last week against FaZe. Or, sorry, last week and then this week against FaZe. It's still looking pretty good, but when you're looking at this first map, what's your take on this Yoru pick? Because I know you were casting this game with Bala.
Yeah, man, I want Yoru to be good. I really do. I want Yoru to work. I've been a long-time proponent of the Yoru. I've always said that if they were to start selling his jackets, I would instantly buy one. The jacket's dope. Like, his character's dope. I love all of it, but man, the pick's just not great. And I think there are cool things that you can do with Yoru. I think his kit allows you to control 75% of the map at any given point in time, depending on where you are. And there are a couple of options that you have yourself, particularly in Bind. I think we saw some of that out of Paper X and Reykjavik, but the truth is it's just not great. My general thoughts on Yoru is that you have to be willing and you have to be able to build an entire composition around him. Yeah. I mean, an entire composition around him. I don't just mean like combine him with one other agent and there's cool synergy there. I think for him to be played in what I believe to be the most optimal way, I think a lot of it is misdirection, a lot of it is conditioning, and you have to build entirely around him. And teams either haven't had the time or are just not bold enough or confident enough to try it. Yeah. And that's why we're seeing him kind of slotted in these weird places where they don't really work, and it's just not been very successful, which is just kind of unfortunate. I think Yoru, it takes too much work for it to work.
Yeah. Coming in here as an outsider real quick, have we seen Sentinels play the Neon on the other side? Because I sort of...
Well, yes, last week Kempeki tried to play it, if I'm not mistaken, against
Optic. Didn't go too well?
Didn't go too well because Tens was
Sentinels
out.
Had it.
Yeah, and then Sick was out as well, so they had to play with 2 subs.
Oh, yeah, of course. That was last week, yeah.
So that was a tough one.
Ten's obviously picking up a Yoru here. Like, you need to see something fantastic, because essentially what I'm thinking when I'm looking at this comp, it's like that's the person I'm swapping out to put a Neon in there to give you that space opening. Now, Tens has got to be doing it, and if you're not finding the success there is a very, you know, tried and proven method that will get you there more often than the Yorus. So that's unfortunate if it doesn't really hit like that.
Yeah, that's where I agree with you guys. I feel you're missing a slight layer by not having a Neon or a Viper to like split out the sites when you're trying to full exec, especially on B sites. But the Yoru flank attempts didn't work out too well. But all the best here for Sentinels. I think they still have a chance for LCQ. There's shit going on here on Reddit where they're like, oh, okay, well, it's if X then Y then Z, and then fucking AA, BP, CC has to happen on the Excel sheet so that Sentinels can make it to the LCQ. So they still have a chance, but we'll see what's going to happen. But there you can see, of course, Rock is having to step in, play for the team for the last 2 weeks. Actually, like I said, he's been playing it quite well. And speaking about Raucus, let's look about the second map here on Haven when they actually played against FaZe last week, or the last weekend. I think that is pretty normal when you actually see TenZ playing into a Jett. I think he plays that role super well into the A-site lock. It works really well in terms of like the communication that he has between him and Kempeki playing as a KO with the knife on the A choke point. But overall, they still don't seem to have an answer of this overload of FaZe execution towards this C site here, Doug.
Vans, I don't know that Sentinels can answer the phone right now, much less answer what's being thrown their way. Like, I know that you're trying to be super serious about this, but Vans, I love you. I saw Baby Bay hit multiple 360s.
Yeah.
In this series, like he was jumping out of tower. There was no respect for the situation, and the scoreline was way closer than it probably should have been. You start to talk about LCQ and kind of what the options are there. Part of me thinks that in order for that project to really work in the long term, you almost need it to not make LCQ, right? Like give them the time to get into the lab to figure out exactly what needs to be changed. Don't put another tournament kind of in the near future that they're going to have to prepare for and perhaps not have all the pieces there that they want. Because I think there's more going on here than just one person that needs to be changed or anything like that. Like, again, the scoreline may have reflected that the series was close, but and Raucus did well, but the truth is, like, Sentinels are in a pretty bad shape. Both the roster, the internals, the fact that they're extenuating circumstances that aren't helping either.
Exactly,
it's just not a great situation right now.
I think MC talked about it last week too, is like, wait until you see Sentinels in full force and like they're actually a team to be messed with. And unfortunately for the last 2 weeks, they didn't have that opportunity. And even when we were looking at that second map on Haven, round number 15, I already had like a tweet in my draft trying to figure out what Sentinels composition was going to be on Icebox. I think it was finally going to be a map where we're going to see TenZ being able to play a fucking chamber, because we've been asking it for a very long time. And of course, which was why I say there's no point in playing TenZ on a chamber on this map, because he just fucking owns on the A side as Jett here on defense and still plays it very well. But I think there was also a tweet when you're looking at these rounds that went into overtime in the end. Tweet came out from Steel that was talking about like the econ going on for Sentinels, where I think even round number 22 they went into like a half buy with like half shields and Sheriffs and Spectres, whereas if there was better economy management, they would have had 2 full buys in round number 23 and 24, which would have potentially given Sentinels a better chance to win that second map. But unfortunately, because of that situation, you have a lower buy going into the last round of 24. FaZe is able to take the upper hand of that. So you could definitely see that there's a lot of layers that could go into how much strats you could put in the preparation that you have as a team to be able to win a series. And I think those layers are still missing because of all the overarching issues that Sentinels have been going with in the past few weeks. So unlucky here for Sentinels, going 0-4, potentially 0-5 now into the upcoming weekend. But again, still have a chance to make it to LCQ with everything else that's happening around them. So if you're a Sentinels fans, you gotta keep huffing on that hopium.
You know what? You know what the good thing is? Sentinels, even in the current situation, they might not go out last. Their last game is up against Cloud9, right? So they're fighting for that bottom spot of the group. So technically not the worst team yet. One more week to go.
That is another storyline that we'll talk about too. To talk about Cloud9 and Sentinels battling for last place, that's fucking insane. But that said, before we get to that, let's talk about the other matchup for me, who was that was a little bit less interesting as well. It's nice of the storyline between Energy and 100 Thieves that you actually have Energy in a boot camp in Texas, trying to put all their eggs into a basket, trying to at least qualify into this game. It started off well, at least on this map. I think we had like a 6-6 half going into the second half. Energy looked like they had something prepared, even though they didn't change into their compositions on Icebox when it was potentially alluded to that Hayes off his tweet. That Energy were like in the lab preparing shit here, Doug.
Yeah, this NRG team continues to be such a. I don't know what to think of them,
Mhm.
to be honest, because I think they can be really good.
Mhm.
I love the leadership that Hayes brings, the experience that he brings. Ethan is, well, Ethan, right? Like, you know what you're getting with Ethan. He's absolutely nuts. But this is now the second stage where the pieces just, it just doesn't seem to be working. Like,
Mhm.
maybe not to the same degree as the last stage, but again, we're seeing a team that should be really good, who keeps their matches relatively close, who are willing to try and innovate different things, even though it may not necessarily work every time. And they're just not getting the wins.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah. Yeah, and even when you're looking at that game on Icebox, like Tex was really trying to fucking carry the team as much as he could, right? 6 first bloods in this matchup, doing a lot of the pressure into their attacker side, even on defense, trying to keep things alive here for the team. I mean, they've even lost both pistols in this map, but he still fought his best. But I think 100 Thieves in general, as you can see here, the dwindling moments of this map, where the synergy for this team for 100 Thieves continues to be very good. I mean, look at the full rotate that 100 Thieves has going into this. They play a post plant. They play a delay on top of that too. I think they also have that boot camp buff in their favor for 100 Thieves. So I don't know, man. I think the KG on this map is also very nice to see from Stellar. That's a little change that we've seen for 100 Thieves from the past few weeks. But yeah, I mean, after that, you think that it would be a round coming in here for Energy to make it 12-10. But look at this, the shock dart combination, the delay with the darts. I don't know, man. This is all like on the fly calls that shows like the synergy that this team currently has with each other to make sure that they win these rounds. They look fucking good.
Yeah, they do. And I think this kind of goes back to there was a point that Sean made a couple of weeks ago. It was after their loss to TSM, where he made it very clear that he wanted this team to essentially be like an Astralis 2.0. He wants every player to be in a position to be able to make decisions and make calls that are meaningful, like in the moment. And I think you see a lot of the chemistry that's there. You see a lot of the versatility on the fly stuff, or at least seemingly on the fly. We're not in comms. There's no way to really know, but these pieces are coming together very well. They've stressed in their last two interviews, preparation is key for them. So, the guys are in the lab. They're hitting everything that they need to be hitting. What I'm really curious about is to see how they look in playoffs, right? Like, for a team that at least the last 2 weeks has stressed preparation as much as they have, how will they do when there's not a week to prepare, right? Like when you have those matches much closer.
I think you tweeted that out mentioning, I can't remember who said it, but I think Sliggy and even Steel also mentioned it as well, where like when you have like a week to week where you have a full week to prepare against a team, 100 Thieves has the best coaching staff to be able to do that and to be able to just get the best results against our opponents. But when it comes down to the playoffs, where now you have to play a whole weekend and 2 weekends potentially to even qualify for Masters 2, then you have less time to prepare on each team and you got to start playing your own game. And to be quite honestly, though, these guys playing their own game actually looks pretty good. They still have the best success rates in terms of plants and the highest rate in terms of post-plant conversions for 100 Thieves on their attack. So their attack continues to be meticulous, but I actually want to ask you a question as well, Mitch, man, because, Doug mentions how Sean Garris wants to talk about 100 Thieves being the next Astralis 2.0. We're both Counter-Strike guys, but I haven't been following the scene as much. I know you have for a bit, but maybe not as much as well because of Valorant. But for me, when I hear about Astralis, I think about just an Astralis era where they're able to win nonstop from like, events to events for like a year or two and winning Grand Slams. For me, though,
big events.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, is that what he means by, or is that what it means for Sean Garris to talk about the Astralis 2.0, or is it more of like, how does Astralis play that makes him so good that 100 Thieves is trying to mimic that?
Well, I think he means both. I think he means that he wants the team to mimic both the gameplay and, as a result, the results, the era. I think for Sean and pretty much everyone on board with that team, the idea isn't, as they've said, to win now. Like, if they are winning now, I mean, right now they've already beat XSET. So they are fighting Ghost Gaming for top of the group. Literally, even if XSET wins their game, doesn't matter. 100 Thieves win on head-to-head. So they can be top of the group if they win next week's game. They're currently fighting for the top in their trial stage. If you look at it, this is a huge success from everyone's perspective at 100 Thieves, a huge turnaround for the team. And I think the idea in the long term is like best case scenario from the get-go would have been next year. We start out from the get-go, from franchise, And every event in that year, every time that you think back on 2023, what Sean wants when he says the Astralis era, you think of all the Masters, all the champions, all the big North American events, the qualifiers, those big challengers finals. You will think, oh shit, yeah, who won that? 100 Thieves. You won't have to think about it. If someone says who won that big event, the answer is 100 Thieves if they were in it. That's what he wants. And that's who Astralis were. If they were in your tournament, everyone was fighting for second place. You fucking knew that. Like, you were just praying they didn't turn up to whatever like dream hack you got invited to, because you knew they'd be invited. You're just like, please don't think this is important enough. It was a wild time.
Oh yeah, and I see people in the chat that are speculating that the Astralis 2.0 is probably the utility usage of how Astralis played in CS:GO, which is like I said, something that 100 Thieves currently in Valorant are doing very well because all the set strats that they're putting into their executions. Also, Mike HD is in the chat, so just answer the fucking question for us, Mikes. But you talked about Ghost here, Mitch, man, so let's actually go into that topic as well. So TSM versus Ghost was another big matchup that we actually had for that last weekend. I think for Ghost and TSM, a very important game, mostly for TSM to try to stay alive in this group. We get into this first map of Breeze where TSM looked like they had this on lock. Ghost going into the series where they haven't lost Breeze yet in Stage 2. I think even at 7-0 in Stage 2, including the open qualifiers. And suddenly, TSM just lets that lead slip from their fingers. In your eyes, what do you think happened in this game here, Doug?
I think it was more Ghosts that happened, to be honest. Less so than TSM, you know, perhaps fumbling the bag. I just think this Ghost roster is so complete. They look so good, man.
Yeah.
And I for, you know, a lot of people, it's, to be honest, for a lot of people, it's been this like, all right, when are they going to stumble? When is this fairy tale ride going to end? But I think if you've been following this Ghost roster for a long time and seeing how they've kind of been coming up and the roster changes that they've gone through, you see that these pieces have been coming together in a very intentional way for a pretty long period of time, right? And the fun thing about them is you've got Nismo, and, you know, we talk about Nismo and, you know, the kids and the restaurants and kind of everything that's going on and all that stuff. But all of the pieces are there. Like John T has his massive moments. So Proto's an absolute stud. Cap leading things is a proper menace. The guy's so smart and he's so good that I think if you're not believing at this point, I don't know what else is required to convince you that this Ghost roster is legit.
The crazy part about this is when you're looking at the first map on Breeze, Nismo actually didn't have the best fucking game that we know that Nismo's able to do, because he's not playing a Jet, he's not playing a Raze, he's actually playing more of a support role as a KO, but all of the fragging came into not only John Cutie into the game, but also the timeout that Kaplan actually brought out, and then Ghost just capitalizing on eco rounds. I think that's another big one that TSM is going to have to look back at the tape and fucking hate themselves for it, because out in the first half, when it was TSM taking a lead by so many rounds, I think it was like a 5-1 or 6-1 scoreline, there was actually 3 moments out of the 5 rounds in the first half that Ghost won where they were on an eco. So TSM, the meme was, these guys can't fucking win a pistol round. They actually ended up winning both pistol rounds on this map, yet Ghost still manages to win the game because they actually ecoed TSM 3 rounds out of their 5 rounds on attack. And we all know that Ghost is a very, very good team on defense as well. For trap plays to the retake methodologies that they have against the teams that they play. So for them to pick up 5 rounds on Breeze, it was already going to look like a very tough match for TSM on that second half. I mean, you still have to give it for Sabrosa that tried to carry the team on his back for the first few rounds of how he was playing that Sky. It was fucking sick. But in the end, it's still going to be Ghost that takes the upper hand out of that one, too, just because of those eco rounds. I think that's going to keep haunting TSM. Yeah, and John Cuda, as we talked about here in the first map, played a great first map, too. Even it was his turn to actually starting to sleep a bit at the wheel in the second half, if you're a Scoreboard Stevens, because if you're looking at how John Cutie played on Split on that second map, he wasn't having the best value in terms of killing departments, but he was playing a fade, and the amount of information that he was able to get for the team on that second map was pivotal for Ghost to be able to win this series.
Yeah, I think John QT had himself a series. You mentioned him on Breeze. The split was very good too, and that was Nismo's. It was time to be Nismo again, right?
Exactly.
He goes like, what do you go like plus 12, plus 10, something like that, something absolutely
crazy,
outrageous.
yeah.
Plus 11, thank you. Yeah, he went absolutely nuts. I think the hard thing for me about this series is the fact that TSM shows so much promise.
Yeah.
Like this is the most buzz that I think has been generated around TSM since what, the first Strike days.
Yeah.
Like they have so many cool pieces together. I think switching Guimon and Sombrosa back to their respective roles was in my opinion a very wise and helpful call to make those adjustments after week 1 or week 2 is early on in the stage. But man, for it to just kind of not fully come together at the end is it just really sucks, because I think, again, the pieces are there. They have a good roster. They've got the young player in 7. They've got the experience. They have Juvenile there. Like all of these things showed the promise to be able to come together, and it just kind of fell short. And that sucks. You hate to see that.
Yeah, and the thing about it too for TSM is that they didn't play like the easiest teams in their groups, right? You're still looking at teams that, in argument, if you're looking at Group A, XSET, for a lot of people, it was a shoo-in for them to get the first seed in out of their groups. Then you have 100 Thieves that's starting to pop off. You have Ghost that's starting to pop off as well. And then, yeah, maybe for Energy it's a little bit more shaky, but for those teams to not expect Ghost and Thieves to make it that high in the groups, it already shows that it's not an easy task here for TSM themselves in their group in itself. So, yeah, tough luck here for TSM. I think they still have a good match that they could play for Pride next week against XSET. But a win against XSET is going to definitely help them in the confidence right over there, too. And I think you mentioned it here, Doug, for a team that had to go back into, like, okay, you're putting GMD back into an Omen or back into a controller. You're playing into some comfort picks. I think it comes to the same thing for our next matchup, because you have Luminosity versus Cloud9. And for Cloud9, when we had MCE on the show last week, he's like, you know what? Why the fuck is Vanity not back on a controller role? Like, you have to put him back into a smoke role. He's been a great player playing IGL for this team as a controller. And here you go. You're seeing Vanity on a Brimstone, Vanity playing even a Viper back on Icebox 2. Curry is now taking the role of the initiator, which, by the way, he's had a lot of experience already in his past team with T1. When he first joined, yes, he was a controller, but then started to flex more into initiator roles. But it still seems that it wasn't the recipe for success for C9 against LG. What's your take about this series now that, you know, we got it? What's missing for C9 to be back into the top 4?
Dog, that's a loaded question.
Exactly.
I really
break
thought...
it down layer by layer, Doug.
I don't know that. I really thought that Cloud9, you know, given their loss last week and some of the changes that were being made, you know, you mentioned the role changes, things like that. I expected Cloud9 to come out with like a little extra something, right? Like a little extra fire. I thought there was the possibility that they just roll LG and just like whoop them down to the ground. But it a lot of ways looked like the same Cloud9 that we had seen previously. They looked okay, not great. Like they weren't clicking well together. I think Curry was fine on the initiator role, and the wild thing is it was never look at what Zeta's do. Zeta was great to help out and to like set up and stuff like that, but Leaf had his pop-off moments. Zeppa had his pop-off moments. Zeta did a very good job of supporting, and you know, you can't help but look at the changes in roster, then look at the results and go, yeah, we knew Zeta was good, probably the best initiator in NA, but this is just a baffling. I don't like it. The wheels have totally fallen off, man.
Well, I mean, I'm going to divert the question and put him straight into the fire, as we're going to introduce Syyko from XSET joining us on the show right now. Syyko, Don, welcome back to the show, my man. I know you have a busy schedule practicing with XSET, trying to get the first seed here in your group, so appreciate to take the time to come back here on Valoranting to discuss NA VCTs with us. How are you doing today, my man?
Doing great, Vance. Thanks for having me back. Good to see you guys again. Good to see you, Doug.
For sure.
What's up, handsome?
Sure. It just keeps getting handsomer on the stream, and it's not thanks to me. Yeah, so to ask the hard-hitting questions here, Don, because we're literally just talking about the C9 and LG at this point, where, you know, MC last week was talking about Vanity needs to go back into controller role. You now have Curry that went back into an initiator role of his experience with T1, and it's still not the answer that they're looking for. Is it just them not hitting their shots? Is it them still needing some more time? Or is just the meta not favoring C9 currently when you're looking at stage 2?
I think it's hard to say. I definitely wouldn't say the meta doesn't favor C9 just because they're one of those teams that are so good at working within whatever meta that they're placed into. You know, I think, you know, they traded one of their better support players for, you know, another player who they haven't had a whole lot of time with. I think it's going to take some time for them to get back to the level that they were with Zeta. And then from there, we'll be able to see, are they going to be better or worse off with it?
Yeah, for sure. And now that we think about it too, like for me, C9 versus LG was like the match of the week where it was an opportunity for C9 to bounce back. But, and again, for me, it's still a question mark. Not necessarily for me. I think for the general public to know where LG currently stands right now versus everybody else in North America. Because they're always like a sleeper team so far. It's like, yeah, nice. They beat C9. They make it to the playoffs, but they beat a C9 asterisk because C9's not in the best shape. What's you guys' take on LG finally after we see them 4 weeks into play in this group?
Well, I mean, they took out FaZe, took out Sentinels. I mean, they're a good-looking team. I think they're one of those teams that's always been pretty strong, pretty up there near the top. Just really struggled to close it out, you know, when it comes to playoff time. But that being said, they've always had the ability, like you said, to strike upwards and take some of these better teams out. So, you know, I think this season, more than any other, they've shown a lot of progress. They have a lot of dangerous weapons on that team. They're working together really well. They're really motivated, and I can see them going pretty far.
Yeah.
And you can't help but wonder, too, if all of the roster, LG banner, that whole thing, if that has anything to do with a little extra spark. I think it was Dazzle in the post-match interview was talking a bit about it. Like, yeah, they're exceptionally motivated to prove that they're not necessarily as boring as some people might think, or they're not as mid or as gatekeepy or, you know, whatever you want to call it. I think that's been the narrative for LG for the longest time, is like, yeah, that's not the sexiest, right? Like it's good, it's fine, right? It's vanilla, but vanilla seems to be working, right? Like if that is what it is, vanilla seems to work. They find themselves at 3-1, and yeah, I do think there's a little bit of an extra spark, of a little like a chip on their shoulder to prove that LG banner or not, like they're a really good team. They can compete with the best. I think we're gonna learn man, that's so tough because I would have loved to have seen them play Optic earlier in the season.
Yeah.
But at this point, it's decided, and while they're fighting for seeding and whatnot, the truth is there's no way for either of them to end up last place in their group, I don't believe. I'd have to go back and double check. So either way, I don't know that we're going to learn as much as we would have had they played week 2 or week 3 even.
Yeah, for sure. And even for LG, I think we talk about them being more vanilla at the beginning of the stage too, because it's all about B-Dog. If it's not B-Dog, it's Mata, yada, yada, yada. They're always looking good, those two together. But at least this time, the vanilla, they added a little bit of strawberry syrup, right? Because we actually had an agent change, a comp change going into Fracture, bring out the Neon, keeping Tig on a KO. They add a little bit more flavor into their plays for Fracture, so you see there's a little bit more of an evolution of how they're trying to play their map. So I think this is going to be really fun to continue to see this evolution that LG currently has with Mac as their coach, and see hopefully that they're going to be able to be picked up by a team. If not, as Viper was mentioning in the chat before too, as we're currently live here on Do Not Peek, that they're probably going to have to be called Masters 2 champions if it continues at this pace for LG, but not before the bodyguards of XSET has something to say about that, right, Don?
That's right.
But before we actually get to talk about your series here, let's actually talk about the next one, which is going to be now, somehow, the matchup of the week. EG versus Optic. What the fuck happened in this series, man? EG looks fucking amazing, Doug.
Yeah, they look really good. I think Potter buff is very real. They're doing fun things on a couple of different maps. You think about the 2 clutch moments they've had on Icebox and how they're pulling out rounds that you just go, how on earth is this happening? And maybe they have the special sauce. Like I think about Jogmo getting that double kill on Bind through the teleporter with a showstopper. Yeah. That kind of stuff. Like, I mean, come on. Yeah. Right. But all of that said, Calm is an absolute lunatic. He's so freaking good. We know Jogmo. We know what he's worth. Boostio's nuts too. what I really liked about this composition, this map in particular, is how they use their Prowlers and their Trailblazers in unison to control the entire map effectively. Like, you could tell the game plan was there. They utilized both of those, lean into that utility to create space, to deny info, and to find these power spots. And Optic, Optic, they just weren't hitting the shots either. That certainly doesn't help.
That's the crazy part about this. I want to ask you to replay this clip as well, Daniel, because it's also not like Jogimo has been showing that he's been like one of the one that has been on the highest trajectory in terms of performances in the stages as a duelist for this team. That said, I think an unsung hero is how just EG works their synergy together with the utility. Look at that. Boombot for information. Reform pulls out a flash, which gives an easy kill for Jogimo that enables the showstopper. He just hides in the smoke so that 1, delays clock, 2, Trailblazers getting information that the 2 players are going inside the TP. Then he fucking shoots it. Then he throws paint shells into the fucking teleporter to make sure that the spike gets picked up by Ye. He's forced out of TP, which meanwhile, Reform's already rotated over towards that B site to actually get the headshot kill. So just the synergy in itself for EG for the past few weeks is, as you mentioned here, Doug, just the Potter buff, the Boostio buff, and how much they've been in the lab with Calm, with the IGL experiences that he had with the crew, of how this looks so fucking synergized. I mean, what's your take on EG so far here, Don?
Yeah, I think you guys nailed it. It really is a Potter buff. You could tell by the way that they're playing that they're drawing from a pretty deep playbook. The way that they hit the site, the way that they execute is very well drilled, very coordinated. The way they synergize utility is very coordinated. It's clear that a lot of thought has gone into the way that this team is going to play together as a team. And that really always comes back down to the head coach and the IGL both doing a really good job to implement these systems. I mean, they go in against a team like Optic, the world champions, and you say, hey, like, we got to get creative. We got to do, we got to really step up here to beat these world champs. We can't just go in and rely on Boostio and crew to out aim, Marved and Ye and these guys who, took it all the way to Masters and won it last stage. So, I really commend Potter and the IGL of that team for stepping up and showing us something spectacular with these unique comps and these executes that have very clearly been a lot of time put into them.
Yeah, and I want to replay this clip once again, too, because this is one of my nerd shit that I love, right? Looking at how Potter is able to help out the team. Like, look at how much the initiators from the Trailblazer and the Prowler from both initiators clears out what they need to clear, while Apoth is throwing a stimmy so that Jogimo could actually satchel over. Now, I'm not that much of a nerd, and I want chat to help me answer this question because I know we got the big brains, Anders, we got also Mike's in there too. If you actually satchel on top of that stim pack, are you actually getting more velocity unit boosts that allows Jogimo to fly as much as he did in the back of the site to get the backstab kill entry shot into the execution of EG? Because if that's the case and that's been the practice drilled by EG, that's fucking huge right now of how much practice is going in and what's in the lab so far for EG. So Viper says yes, so that's fucking sick. Good thing I didn't talk out of my ass when I was broadcasting this match about that satchel to Stimpack.
I will
fuck,
say
he
this.
says he has no idea. Fuck you, man.
Yeah, you got trolled. Oh, you got trolled. I will say this about EG, though. I think if there's one thing that we've learned about Valorant in its 2.5 years, however long it's been out, is that it really can be anyone's game and any team can catch fire at any given point in time and make some insane run. So will this necessarily be something that are we looking at the beginning of a dynasty for EG or some long-term replicated success? I don't know. I genuinely don't know, but I can tell you this. They look really good right now. Things are clicking, things are happening. And again, history has shown that sometimes that's all it takes to make something really special happen.
Yeah, it's so good how this looked out. And then if you're looking at the game plan too, like, by the way, this is Optic on fucking Bind. Somehow EG left this map into rotation and allowed Optic to pick this map against them, which they have been probably the best team on Bind since Masters 1, going like, what, 7-0 once they got actually a loss here in the early stages of Stage 1. And somehow EG just thrashes into that. And I think another layer into that strategy was also having Boostio going head-to-head. Him going head-to-head against Ye, one of the top 5, if not top 3 duelists, arguably, that people have been talking about since in 2021. And Boostio was able to get 8-3 against Ye in duels. And out of those 8 kills, 5 of them were actually first blood for EG into the game. So I gotta say, man, this, like I said, the agent changes that this team has had, because Boostio was playing Jet before, it just fits into this playstyle that Evil Geniuses are displaying in the stage.
You mentioned being surprised that Bind made it through. I kind of want to go back to the preparation into Pottery, because I think they're smart enough to know that you don't go like dancing. You don't step into the ring with Mike Tyson unless you have a plan, right? And it was very clear to me that they had a plan. Again, namely around the Sky and the Fade. I think their utility usage was insane. You saw some really cool stuff out of both of those players. So they have their plans. They have their game plans. They stick to it. We've seen it now week over week. This is another really cool play. Like they're doing the right things. They're doing the little things. I think you see a whole lot of patience. You seldom see like unnecessary reckless peaks unless it's Jogamo, in which case, well, it's Jogamo, right? he just wins those. No, I think they look good, man.
Yeah. And for Don, you have the scrim bucks. I mean, you guys have been potentially practicing against this team because you're in different groups. What's your take on the Optic losing Bind here against EG overall? Is it like just one-off day for Optic, or is it just like EG looking that amazing?
I think Doug said it best, right? Like any team can catch fire and really just go on a run here. I think this is a case of them going in with a solid plan, and you know, they're all out together in Seattle at the facility. They're all living together. The vibes are as high as can be, and you know, they're hitting hard right now. Optic are a consistent team. They're a good team. I mean, yeah, like they went up against them on Bind, but they also banned Fracture. So like I would going up against, you know, Victor on the Neon and Fracture have been, you know, potentially worse. So I think they went in with a good plan, and they knew what they wanted to achieve on Bind, and they came out with a big win. You know, can they replicate this, you know, consistently throughout playoffs? I don't know. I trust Optic a little bit more to hit that level of consistency. We haven't really seen that from EG yet, but it's definitely possible.
Yeah.
Just go ahead, Doug. Sorry.
Oh, I was having a conversation with Finesse yesterday, and we were talking about this matchup specifically. And
on Vandals, your show that you actually have weekly now with a dominant person from the scene.
Thank you. Yes, that is true. Go watch it after you're done watching Valorant, of course. But you know, we were talking about it, and he was very candid. He said it's not like we weren't prepared for them. It's not like we didn't take them lightly. And the quote from Finesse was specifically, "I've lost too many times to take a team lightly. Like I know better." But the truth is, his confidence also showed, and it's something that we expect out of Optic at this point. Is he thinks that if they played probably 10 times in a row, EG win maybe one of those 10. So I do think to Don's point, over time, the experience, all of that comes into play. And I think that becomes a difficult thing to replicate. But again, a team catches fire. And I mean, dude, there's no stopping. This game is so confidence and momentum based.
Yeah.
But then you also land shots like that. Like everything was going right for EG in this series.
You definitely had a big back and forth looking at the last two maps of this series between Optic and EG, because as Don mentioned, you want to try to avoid Victor playing on a Neon. They were able to do that by banning Fracture, speaking about EG, but now you're going into Split, where Victor is playing it, and FNS as a Breach. I mean, those two guys in those two roles have been stellar so far in this stage, which, of course, with this back and forth battle, you have this victory from Optic Gaming going into the third map. And again, goes back into a map pool where I'm actually quite scared looking how EG is going to move into an Ascent map, because Optic also has been very good on this map as well. Just because, again, I've mentioned before, FNS is really good on this Breach playing on Ascent. The amount of fault lines is able to bring across the map to support like A-side hits, A-side retakes on their defense. But suddenly you have fucking EG pulling out fucking triple initiator. So Don, what's your take? Because for me, triple initiator, I was praising that it was going to be a meta, like, I don't know, when I think KO came out and then Sky was available. You'd probably have like a KO, Sky, and Sova as your triple initiator.
Yeah, it kind of takes me back to the old 100 Thieves triple initiator comps, you know, we're still looking around with the KO when that had just been released. So
exactly,
I don't know. I think this is a good example of what we were talking about, where, you know, like we're going up against EG, or we're going up against the world champs Optic as EG, and in a sense, one of their better maps. Like, how can we optimize the weapons that we have, the tools that we have, and come up with something that's going to catch them off guard. And I think that's what they did here. You know, you can just kind of see in your brain, like Chet sitting there on the other side of this going, oh, wow, this is a cringe comp. You know what I mean? So this is definitely one of those cringe comps that they brought in, and they you know, cheesed out a win. But I don't know. Will this be a meta comp moving forward? I definitely see the value of having both the Sova and the Fade. You know, both of those being really strong agents, especially on the B side of the map, but really just everywhere on Ascent. So, you know, I definitely see the value here. And it's interesting that they were able to, you know, pull out something unique like this. Grind out a game plan, drill it in throughout the week, and then execute it properly against a very top level team. You know, if not one of the best teams, if the best team in the world right now.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, go ahead, Mitch.
Quickly interject here. I want to say this is really strange. Just watching all these VODs, because for the first time ever, I'm in this position where I genuinely feel a severe disconnect from North American and EMEA. no, but like, not even memeing. Before, we've always said like, oh yeah, you play the Jet.
Yeah, of course.
It's actually funny because this is the only map. Breeze, obviously, everyone plays Jet, but on this map, we play Jet still. This is pretty much the only map other than Breeze that we play Jet on pretty much religiously. We play Killjoy here, pretty much the only map we see her on as well. And then we come to North America, and I'm watching all these VODs. I'm like, no Killjoy, no Cypher, there's Jets everywhere. On the map that we play Jet, there's no Jet. I'm just like, what? It's so strange to see, but I think it's going to be really interesting at an international event to see like genuinely different, severely different approaches. If, you know, the teams playing these comps make it through, it's really cool. Because before it has genuinely just been, what duelist do you play? Or do you play a duelist? Like, maybe you're Team Liquid and you play like 4 flashers. Like, what are you going to do? Yeah. But now it's actually really cool that we have enough depth. We're starting to see enough depth that entire regions are swaying. Like, I don't think you guys, I was looking through the stats after seeing these VODs, and it's like, you don't play Killjoy or Cypher, like, at all. Yeah. Like, on any maps. It pretty much doesn't happen. By the looks of it.
I think just Killjoy eventually just got too nerfed, I think, on Ascent with the amount of utility you could have to counter like her lockdowns, and the KO already in itself is already a big counter to Killjoy when you're using KO a lot more on this map, or at least in your comps these days. So I think that's one thing, and it brings to a point where I was mentioning, I think like last week or 2 weeks, and I even tweeted about it too, where it's fun to see the direction of where Valorant is right now, where you don't have to think about agent bans yet. Because back then, if it was still going to be like 2020, where everybody's playing a Jet in a fucking Phoenix or a Jet in a Raze double duelist, whatever, then yeah, it's cool. Everybody's going to start like banning Sova, banning Cypher, or banning Jet. And then you might see a little bit of change in there. But now that you have a 7 map pool where, one, teams can get a little bit deeper in terms of their strat books, but 2, have different approaches into their agent composition where you don't see a lot of these mirror matches anymore. It's really nice to see the state of where Valorant is at right now. And the second layer is also like, hey, like North America or South America doesn't have to mimic DRX, and they don't have to mimic XYZ team to actually try to win a series. And now it's finally like NA has their own meta, NA has their own comps, and I think some other teams are starting to look, and other regions are starting to look at North America and try to play to that style, which is why, of course, you see a lot of teams starting to play the Optic comp, for example, for Fracture. Right, so it's just nice to see that little nice evolution there, too. But I actually wanted to get into this round. I mean, this is a round where Calm comes out for the first time in 24 rounds with a fucking Odin, but this time spamming it from mid side, because Optic has been trying to take a lot of this mid control on their attacker side, too. Like the comp in itself, the positions, you already see, like, also Bucio's currently playing a lot of positions on mid side just to try to counter Victor on his gate crashes on mid. Like, there was a lot of shit that was getting cooked out from Optic when they threw out this comp from the previous weeks, and EG definitely went into the studying of that. And as we're going to show this round being won by EG, I also want to go back to like that previous round to show like that triple initiator comp of how good it was here for Evil Geniuses, which is that round number 21. So Daniel, if you could pull that one up as well. I don't know how much we're going to see from that as well, but we'll try to explain it as we go. And as we look about this is actually like a reform gaining some good help and assisting the team. But look at how much he gets information out of this haunt because of so much utility that's being thrown from like the flash to some Jogimo. And that recon dart came all the way from B site with Calm at B. So when, Don, you were talking about a double initiator playing towards B site with a Sova and a Fade could be kind of huge. This is also very big for like the retakes coming in for EG at this point. So it doesn't allow like really Optic to set up on even pulse plan situations against a triple initiator, which is fucking sick. Where it actually brings me a question as to like how this composition was strong on the attacker side. I hope to get a little bit more insights out of you guys to see how this triple initiator from EG helps them.
I think that's the big thing, is just how much information they're getting. When you're dumping that much utility on the site, especially playing against players who typically like to anchor and flood a bit, it's really hard to deal with. You're pushing them out of their comfort zone. You're pushing them out into spots where you can really capitalize on that information and punish them and get them an advantage and flood into the site. So,
yeah,
it's these utility combinations that they've cooked up that make it really hard to deal with, shooting a dart and an eye while getting flashed at the same time. It's a whole lot coming in at once. And if you're not seeing this a lot from other teams in practice, you don't have a lot of practice against it. It can be hard to deal with at times.
Yeah.
Overwhelming, yeah.
Nice little curveball that was thrown out there from the evil geniuses to be able to get that series. But now it's time to actually get into to what Dawn is the most important match of the week. So let's talk about XSET versus the Guard going into this game too. So storyline around this one too. The Guard struggling throughout the beginning of the stage. Identity crisis in my eyes in terms of like agent compositions, trying to figure out how they could dance around having a lack of like a raise, or also when they want to include a raise, what's the supporting cast around that raise to make it work? And it hasn't been working out. So they're like, okay, let's go back to our comfort picks. Lots of Trent on Sova, lots of Killjoy back here on net, even Valen going back into an Astra. And then we're going head-to-head against XSET. And for you guys, I mean, this has been a great start for the Guard going into this series onto Split. And what was that turning point here? What have you guys realized in this first map against the Guard to actually have this comeback in the game?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, like you said, going into it, we had talked in the last Valorant episode I was on that, with the shift in meta, that star players are going to get pushed over into Chamber. And that's exactly what we saw Guard trying to do. They tried to push Saya over into this Chamber role where you can, still have similar impact with the op that he was having on the Jet, but it just didn't seem to be working with them. They're triple role swapping to make something like this work. And, they were really struggling. So we saw them swap this comp back to, what we'd call their comfort zone. The week before when they played TSM, and we saw them, slap TSM around, and we said, wow, yeah, it's TSM, yeah, but they gave them a beating. So like, damn, we got to watch out for these guys. They're back in, Guard form or whatever it may be. So we went into this match really saying we cannot underestimate these guys. But, as far as prep, we just looked back to what they were doing before, and we saw a lot of similar things. They kind of caught us off guard at the beginning of Split. But, yeah, after going down, I can't remember what it was, 0-4 or 1-4, I called a timeout. We talked about what we were seeing. And, from there, it was just, it felt like the game was really in our hands for the majority of that map up until really the end of the second half.
Yeah.
When things kind of started to slip away for us. And, it really was reminiscent of the week prior where, we were having issues with 100 Thieves. Not that 100 Thieves were, doing anything spectacular, just that, our procedures and our protocols that we had were just slipping away. Our energy was slipping away, and we failed to regain that before the map ended. But,
yeah,
after that map, I had a chat with the guys, me, Rory, and Jordan. We really rallied the guys up and said, look, like this shit can't happen. Like this is unacceptable, right? And, we went into this map 2 and 3 and really grinded it out. And we said, look, like it's their 2 best maps. Like we knew in the vetoes that they were really confident that they had gotten Haven and Icebox against us. But, after the prep in the off season, we felt really strong on those maps. So, we just brought it right back to them and said, look, this is who we are. And, we're not letting you get away with it this time.
Yeah. What did you start seeing actually from XSET going in against the Guard in the second map here, Doug? Because now it seems as though the roles have been reversed here, where XSET just had, the hands on the wheels and really driving this map, and the Guard just didn't have an answer for it.
Yeah, I think it's actually a really good way to describe it. I was talking to Don after the match, to be honest, and one of the things he could attest to it, I told him straight up, I think I saw confidence and like almost like an anger after their loss the previous week to 100 Thieves, and I saw that in their play. Like BCJ, bro, how many times have I seen BCJ do stuff that I just go, how? Like it's genuinely, I genuinely think the guy is a wizard. He just pulls off stuff that is criminal. It should make no sense. And for Cryo, like the guy has COVID or had COVID, by the way. But even with that, you know what you're getting with Cryo, right? Like Cryo's Cryo. You kind of know what you're going to expect. But Def was taking these outrageously confident peaks in these gunfights, and he was winning them. BCJ was doing the same thing. Aaron, like, I really do think there was an element of, we're going to take that loss against 100 Thieves and maybe even the first map loss against the guard personally and make a statement. And honestly, I think they did.
I thought you were going to talk about how BCJ is a wizard, and you're going to fucking try to talk about the 1 minute clip you did about his shock dart on the wall on Bind.
We'll save that for another day.
But yeah, and when you're looking at the performances, even like I don't want to be a scoreboard Stevens, it's actually more to get more depth into what was the game plan that you guys built up here, Don, around Saya player. Because for me, on the first map, when I see Saya player playing on a Raze, I'm like, okay, well, I don't think it's going to be a lot on Saya anyways. It's going to be a lot on Valen playing as this Astra, and also on Net. But we get into a second map where now you have Saya player that is playing the comfort role of Jet that usually pops off like a fucking god as Jet, but he was not able to get activated in this second map.
Yeah, I mean, that's just something that, XSET as a team, we are excellent at shutting down star players. It's something you can go back through our matches for the last year and a half, and it's just consistent. You'll see that we are good at shutting down players like this who normally get away with murder and just saying, no, you're not going to get away with that with us. And when the rest of the team can't step up to offset that, it's really tough. Valen did a really great job that series of, trying to put it on his shoulders. Same with Trent, but it just wasn't enough. And, like you said, it's exactly what it was. Like we didn't feel like we should have lost that series to 100 Thieves. We were upset. I was upset. I'm in the practice on Monday going, what the F is this? Like, what is this?
You're allowed to swear, Don. You're allowed to swear. What the fuck?
Oh, yeah. What the fuck is this? Why are these protocols not being adhered to? Like, what the hell are you guys doing? Like, what kind of loss is this? Is this something where you go home at the end of the day and you're like, oh, I'm happy with how I played today? It's not. Like, I wasn't happy about it. They weren't happy. We grinded it out all week. The practice environment has never been better. And we went in just extremely confident into this guard match, saying, like, this is our time, not just to get the guard for the last stage, but also to, kind of guide our rage out of our bodies into something else from, this loss from 100 Thieves this last week. So, we kind of let it slip away on split, and it just reinvigorated everybody. And you could see it, going into Icebox, like you said, there was a fire burning. And those guys were ready.
If I may, Don, I want to double click here a little bit more, because it felt to me like, particularly on your map against Bind versus 100 Thieves, I think your defense was very good. I in my opinion, although you guys lost that map, you probably should have won it. The half should have been bigger than 7-5, and it looked to me like there was a very clear game plan as far as how you wanted to approach things defensively, namely in the sake of shutting down their star duelists and playing without getting, I don't want to get too technical here, but playing a bit aggressively. We're going to say aggressively for the sake of simplicity. Would you say that you carried a similar game plan leading into this past series as far as how you wanted to dictate the pace and set the line of scrimmage, if you will, on defense?
Yeah, we definitely approach defenses, or just all halves, all maps, team per team. With 100 Thieves, we just knew that with their style of comp, it really was going to fall on the shoulders of Will to really make these plays and get into the bomb sites. So that's definitely what we were focusing on shutting down initially, to prevent them from getting out onto the site. So,
yeah, and we talk about shutting down as well, and I think this is where we get to the third map. We're going back into Haven, which again, surprisingly for me, you guys let the guard have Haven in that series. I knew it was going to be a close one no matter what, because it had to be at some point some game plan that you guys had to try to shut down the guard, where the guard has probably the best success with this current composition on this map. And even Valen, for me, was like, okay, one of those pop-off moments, a great moment for him to come back into the week, actually, for Group A, right? Because he hasn't had, like, the best performances ever from week to week, but he was literally, like, holding it down, winning duels against your star players, such as BCJ, such as Zekin, going 6-2, going 7-1, and it still seems that you guys had the better game plan going into controlling your attacker side. So what was the plan going on here?
Yeah, it could have been a little cleaner, but we knew the guard loved this map. It was almost like an FU, like Valen posted after beating us last stage, oh, I can't believe you guys let us get Haven in the map pool. So this time I was like, well, fuck you. We're going to let Haven go through his third map. We're going to beat you on Haven if we have to. Like, we're not worried about it because we developed such a deep map pool that we're like happy to show it off, like going into playoffs, like all these teams know now, like we don't really have weak maps. We're ready to play you on anything. And we can tailor fit a game plan to, how we know you play on these maps and pull out a victory no matter what. So, we're welcome to play, these teams on the maps that they're comfortable on because we're equally as comfortable and we have a point to prove.
Yeah, and you were casting this game, Doug, and there was at a point where I think you and Baller were talking about it, and you're like, oh shit, like Net missed the nanoswarm. He missed a molly into the pulse plant. I think it was like on B side or something, if I'm not mistaken. Do you think that was like the deciding factor? Don's already fucking laughing, but I want to know, was that like the turning point where you finally see like just exit? It's like, okay, they're gonna shut it. They're gonna win the rest.
Yeah, in my opinion, again, because this game can be so momentum and so confidence driven, like it is easier, I think, than in other esport titles to point to a moment and go, that breaks somebody, right? Like that breaks a team. And when you think about the guard and kind of the story that they've had, and all the way back to Reykjavik, the struggles that they've had, how they come out on the wrong foot here in this stage, and they finally start to get some momentum going, and all of a sudden they're making a run at this and they're getting it close to the end of the map on Haven. For it to go that way, yeah, you look at that and you go, that, especially for a young team that does not have the same experience, that has not dealt with things like that before, that hasn't lived through those moments, like that is backbreaking. And I think, actually, I don't know if we can pause this, what we're looking at right now. Maybe not. I may be asking for too much, but I think, of course, little things like,
come on. Perfect, we have a fucking $1 million studio. We could fucking do anything you fucking want.
That's true. That's true. This cosmic divide, I think, was another backbreaking moment. Because of the gap that was left to allow XSET to sneak into logs to retake this site from a couple of different angles. So you aren't just coming out of backside, but you're able to push in from this angle right here where BCJ is. Those minor mistakes, those minor moments, the nanoswarm and then this cosmic divide, in my opinion, were the like, this is too much. They cannot handle this, and they're kind of falling apart, and inevitably they did.
So what's your take about this then, Don? The guard, I mean, they almost have like a last chance. They're putting all their eggs into a basket. Same thing as Energy, where everybody's now flying to Texas. We just saw some pictures over on the Twitter sphere of them holding hands or hands over shoulders, buddying it up at the airport. It's like, we fucking got this. This is a picture of Saya that he's got his hand back on the box buff going back into the meta here for Saya player. What's it
how
going
does
to
he play like that, by the way?
I know, right?
Like, you think about his shoulder up here.
I get shoulder pain just looking at it, man. I don't know.
We're old, though.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of energy that can be gained by this, right? Like, they're obviously really leaning into this and saying, all right, this is our moment. Like, you'd think they're going into a finals match with how hyped they are, right? But I mean, I get it. They're fighting to stay alive. They got to win this match versus NRG to get into playoffs. Same with NRG. They got to win this match versus the guard. So, I get them doing it. It seems weird that they hadn't done this already. But I understand why, with them being located out in California, it probably is, an expenses thing. But, I can definitely see them now. Like, it's time to stay alive. We got to fly out there and get it done. So I can see this creating a momentum building effect for them, that they may be able to roll into their match with NRG and play with absolute utmost confidence.
Yeah, a literal do-or-die situation here for both Energy and for the guard. Let's have a look actually at the matches that we have coming up into week number 5. And of course, the match of the week for me is going to have to be that Energy versus the guard, because that's pretty much the only game out of all of these ones that determines a team that could still get locked into playoffs. So it's nice that going into week 5 in North America, because the competition's so close, that there's still those moments where it's like, oh shit, man, this is still gonna be like down to the wire for these two teams. But anything else that stands out for these matches for you, Doug?
Yeah, low key, I think actually all of the matches in Group B matter. And I know they're already locked in, but the seeding heading into playoffs, like, you don't want to be number 4, because then you start in the lower bracket, you don't get a second chance at this thing. So while the 4 teams may be locked up, I think seeding is probably more important than. Well, yeah, it's got to be the most important thing in this match. Like the FaZe EG matchup is massive because all of a sudden we're looking at 2-3-2 teams with FaZe holding the head-to-head against EG. Like there's still a lot at play here.
Yeah, I think that's super important, and I think it brings the same thing for Group A as well. Because the other scenario for XSET to actually be on top and get the bye in round number 1 for the upper bracket is if you guys actually beat TSM this weekend here at Dawn. And then I think Ghost has to beat 100 Thieves in order for you guys to win the head-to-head against Ghost and get the first place in the seed.
That's right. I already ordered my Ghost merch with overnight delivery, so I'll have it here tomorrow to cheer them on this weekend. I got to see them come out victorious. I'm a big Kaplan fan.
Of course. I mean, Kaplan's been in the lab for that one too, right? And
why don't you already have a jersey?
Yeah, right?
Fuck, I went. Yeah, fair weather.
Big fan. I went to getting it now, huh?
I went to Nismo's restaurant and he didn't even fucking give me a jersey yet. But at least I got some good food. I got some good food out of it, man. I got some good food. But at least, I think looking at the preview, we talked about it. The guard going into the boot camp. Energy is also in a boot camp in Texas. I think that is probably going to be the biggest head-to-head. I mean, where do you guys think this map pool is going to go to and who could take the upper hand between these two teams?
It's hard to say. I mean, I know the guard are going to want to see Haven. Like that's a definite win for them. But other than that, I mean, it can go really anywhere.
Yeah. For you, Doug?
I agree with Don, man. It's really tough to say. I know I mentioned this early in the show, but I think about Energy and I think these guys should be good. They should be really good. And I don't. Again. We say all of these things from the outside looking in because we don't have access to comms. We don't know what practice looks like. We don't know all those conversations happening behind the scenes. But I just wonder what it is that's missing. Like, what is it that's not clicking when you have those pieces on that roster? You have the energy infrastructure that is what it is. Why is this not working? And, perhaps this is like the spark. As much as we've talked about confidence and momentum, perhaps this match is the spark that kind of takes off for them. Who freaking knows? But they're just such a question mark for me. They have been all stage.
Yeah, I think if Energy and the guard has to go on Haven, I think one thing that was definitely missing for Energy was a Yoru that did something. I think there wasn't enough into the last game to support Energy to get like a cooking in a lab victory against Ghost Gaming, and hopefully Hayes and company with Josh RT have something cooked up into the next and last week, because that is going to be a banger of a match. And with that, I think that concludes our coverage for NA VCTs going into the week number 5. Don, thank you so much for hopping into to talk about this week. Doug as well. Starting with you, Don, what's going on for you this week? I know outside of the practice to get number 1, are you going to Disneyland or something with the family?
Oh, I'm all eyes on Copenhagen. My bags are packed, but they're going straight to Denmark. So grinding it out this weekend. Got to take this out over TSM and give our good vibes over the boys at Ghost to take out 100 Thieves. It goes to that first seed, but if not, second seed is not too bad. We're gonna go in and roll our way through the upper bracket and see where it goes.
That's why you're too busy to play in our Boomerangs tournament. So I'm gonna let you settle and practice to get the number 1 seed. Then we'll have you sub in for our games here. And Doug, what's going on for you? I know you have an episode that just dropped with Vandals, a one-on-one interview with FNS. All good. What else do you have going on for you?
All good. I'll be cutting up some more content around that episode specifically. Don, if you're willing, I would love to go to Disney World with you. I know you've got a busy week, but maybe we can go together. I don't know.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah, because if you guys didn't know here, chat, Doug actually has like 3 fucking kids and he's like 38. So it's gonna be like a Disney World kind of thing that they could do a whole family outing with Syyko and with Doug. But with that, guys, thank you so much once again for hopping on with us. And my friends, it's not over yet. It's Valoranting. All we do is rant. We still have another segment to talk about, which is VCT EMEA, and with Zescht and Enzo coming up, Mitchman's gonna take the wheel and steer us up. But let's go for that commercial break, and when we come back, EMEA.
If you've been enjoying Valoranting, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you get every episode hot off the presses.
Well, I hope you're all going to be welcoming straight from the studio over in Austria, hot off filming the Austrian version of X Factor and Austria's Got Talent. It is the one, the only Vincent Talmon, a.k.a.
Hey, this is not my full
Steven
last name.
Gout.
Hey, why you're butchering my last name, man? First of all, I also don't call you Mitchell the British man, right? That's also not appropriate, first of all. Thank you very much for welcoming me, though, Mitch. I'm very glad to join the biggest
I'm not
man
sure
in
you're
Ireland.
welcome anymore.
Yeah. It was a fun weekend, wasn't it?
It was, and you know, we had to get you on, man. We had
Why?
to, because listen, first of all, I mean,
Uh-huh.
you're a judge on the X Factor, you're a host on VCT. I, of course, host in here, so you can judge my skills. But also, I know you take a little bit of pride in the old German Valorant, the German CEST, the German scene in general, and you've done all right, haven't you?
Mitch, it was about fucking time this shit happens. It was about fucking time this happens, man. It was about fucking time this happens. They've done it. They fucking done it. How often did they lose? How often did they suffer and fucking choke a game? But they've done it, bitch! Verdammt doch mal!
At
They've done
long
it.
last.
I wanted to do this at VCT the entire time, and the one weekend I'm not there. Those fuckers win.
Oh no. That means that is one sweaty fucking t-shirt. Oh my god, that's been
Yeah,
worn
right?
under so many outfits under the beating hot lights of the
Yeah,
studio.
Absolutely, man.
Finally it pays off.
Yeah.
The blood, sweat, and tears that are in that shirt match that Big have gone through for, God, I've got to say years at this point. But finally, VCT victory. What's next for Big? What's next for German Valorant? Let me know.
Why are you pretending like I got the answers to all those things? Well, they won a game.
What are the
How
fans
many
looking
more are they gonna
forward
win? I don't know.
Playoffs, maybe?
I think there's a 12.5% chance for that, isn't it? There's like a tiebreaker.
12.5?
Yeah,
No way.
Yeah, there is. There actually is.
Yeah, that's a
Suppose-
tiebreaker
yeah,
situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one we talked
there
about
is.
earlier,
Yeah.
which we will
Exactly.
talk about soon. Listen, we better get on into talking about it, right, folks? Because we've chatted around a little bit here, but we're going to be joined by Enzo, I believe, a little bit later on. Starting out, though, we're going to look back through EMEA and how things have gone. These are the results for this week. And Zescht, I mean, you were over there in the studio for quite a bit of this VCT action, but as we said, you missed out on Big's 2-0 over Mech. I'm going to assume that's the highlight of the week for you.
Listen, I was doing another event that day in Berlin, ironically, and
Oh.
you know what? I was there and I was like, they've done it. You saw the picture in our production channel, right? You saw it. Yes. You know what? I'm gonna send it. You know what? I'm gonna send it to production so they can pretty much understand.
Let them pull it up. Yeah,
I'll say it to them. I'll say it. Let me just pull it up.
we can get it up on stream.
Listen, I was having the best day of my life in a while. You know, I was having one of the best days in a while because I was finally realizing they can do it, man. They can do it. And you know what? I was cooking up for so long, and they've just done it. They've just done it, man.
There it is. The dub for Germany. I mean, finally, look, it was a long time coming. I think we're going to talk a little bit about that game later on. We're going to first breeze through real quick some of these opening matchups. Speaking about BBL and Guild first. Now, this matchup was it was expected, I think is the way to put it. Guild come in as the top of the group, and they defended that title without any mercy.
You know what I was worried about with this game? Do you remember last stage where they were having this 3-0 run and we were like, damn, this is the team. Guild is impossible to stop. And with the last two games, they were struggling again. The last two games, I think they also lost against BBL, if I'm not totally wrong, or SMB. I can't particularly recall. But I think the best part about this, Guild won, right? All great, all dandy. But this is the best Turkish team we've ever seen, period. The last year SMB was a decent SMB, but a honeymoon SMB. This is the best Turkish team we've ever seen so far with a diversity of understanding agents, and I think a lot of it comes down of them sticking together and not making those quick roster changes a lot of Turkish teams do from time to time.
Yeah, I think that's been a feature for far too many teams as well, over not just the Turkish scene, but every scene, where teams are quick to go, oh, well, we lost this tournament, let's look at who we need to change out here. And it's like you rarely get that runway, that belief. But I think a lot of that comes down to how teams are built in the first place as well, where there's a little bit of oversight. I think we can move right on from that one and move to the next series, which is Oglu, which they've requested not to be called, but don't call yourself that then. OG London United, of course, as they want to be called, as they officially are, but it's very long. And Fun plus Phoenix or FPX, as we call them. I hope they don't mind. No, this was also a game that we came into. I was a little bit hopeful. I was really hoping. You know, my boy Hype plays on this team. Last week, we just talked about how amazing Hype was, and he really was. God, what a beautiful man he is. But after that G2 victory, we speculated that that was a weak G2 and that maybe, you know, this wouldn't continue on. And sure enough, they come up against FPX, and well,
I mean, listen.
yeah.
First of all, I think if you would have never knew that Shrek was called Shrek, and I would have told you Shrek would have been called Oglu, I think you would have been fine. You would have absolutely accepted it because I think it is a name that could be for you know what I mean? Like, if I would tell you Shrek is named
That
Oglu,
is the strangest way to explain anything. So, you've heard of Shrek. You're okay with his name. What if he was called, like, what? I mean, Shrek, listen, if someone calls their org Shrek and makes him a little green man with little ears, I'm behind that. But if you just go, hey, we're two teams, we're going to glue, that's fine. Then all right, cool. Well,
Wait, you're saying that they put a lot of glue on themselves as the logo?
yeah, I guess that works. I never thought about it that way.
sure.
You got a point.
Glue.
You got a
Oh,
point.
love it.
You got a
You're
point.
sniffing it.
I think this game, Mitch, showed us that there are two clear favorites coming into the upcoming.
100%.
I mean, FPX is just a masterclass. I mean, what they do from a tactical side, because they don't. I think. Tell me if I'm wrong, but for me, FPX does not have the same shiny firepower that a Fnatic has. Alpha Derke, boom, bam, the thing is done. But they are insanely consistent and are strategically on par, if not slightly. I'm saying slightly better than Fnatic. Because what they do and how they anti-strat every opponent is remarkable. I think even like Joint, that our coach said, we've been just trash today. The anti-strat is so perfectly, and it is what Doombros and Angel do so well, period.
Jesus Christ, I just hope when we get that rematch of an FPX versus Fnatic, it's
It's
not
gonna be
like
so
the last
hard.
one.
Yeah.
You know, it was 3 maps, but it was just so one-sided. But right now, FPX, bar that match versus Fnatic, they haven't lost. They're not dropping maps. These guys are just dominating their opponents. This is the form we want to see them on. And it's funny because we say, like, oh, they don't have the firepower. Yet at one point, Zipan, go kill, right? Angel's fucking entry frag on a Brimstone has been off the charts. Artis, one of the strongest duelists that we've got in the world at one point. And although the world was segmented by COVID at that point, but still. And then Xiao's had the Xiao show. You know, all these guys have had their time in the sunshine. But now you've got them all working as a unit. And I view this as a team that right now, at least, they have almost 5 guys that are insanely good, which is why they look so even, because they don't need anyone to step it up. They're not being challenged yet. Like, this is easy mode so far.
It feels like the old Mac, you know, the Mac that was winning so much, where they were all pretty much on the same level. Everybody can step up, period. There was not like this Derke or this Alpha Hair. So it was really remarkable what they do, and I think it's a clear top 2 we have in EMEA.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Well, you know what? We've already got one practically model in here. Zesh, you've done some modeling in the past. You must have. Go on. You have, haven't you? Go on.
Never. Not
Alvin
once
Klein? I'll find
No,
it later.
no.
Anyways, we're going to
Just
bring
need
on
modeling.
another young man who looks absolutely fantastic today. Let's get Enzo in here. One of the best lookers in the EMEA and one of the best players as well, on the best team in his group. How you doing, Enzo?
Hey guys, how are you? I'm good.
Good finger.
Good to hear, man. Good to hear. We're about to dive on into Navi versus Team Liquid, but we'll riff a little bit on that. It was certainly a long game. We can just roll some of the footage. But how's your week been, man? It's been quite a run in the VCT so far, right?
It's been great. A lot of work. We've been playing nonstop, like all days, and you know, I have a day off today. I'm chilling a little bit, and we go again tomorrow. So quite a lot of energy to dedicate to each week, you know. So in the end of the week, I'm totally I'm done. You know, it's a lot of work. So
Oh yeah.
now we have to get back to it. We have one more week for a game against G2, and then we have to get ready for playoffs. So I'm doing great. I'm chilling.
No, I mean, you guys are guaranteed top seed at this point, right? So there's no pressure. G2, right, their max is 2-3. Everyone else that can catch is already been beaten by you. So y'all are in the clear. It's a nice, easy matchup to come up. Well, win or lose, easy in terms it doesn't affect your results. So Fnatic are in a pretty good spot at the moment. This team here we're looking at, we'll get to Fnatic's game later. We're going to cover that towards the end and look a bit back through all these dominant matches you guys have had. We'll take a look at the Navi Liquid. And like we said, starting out this game, I think we had clear enough expectations. Like, Navi have rocked the boat a little bit along the way, but a lot of that we could put down to underperformances maybe. This time around, up against Team Liquid, I thought they had it. I thought they'd won it at multiple points along the way. I mean, this was a long day. My God, this one ended up going 13-11 here on Haven, and I mean, it was just a show of these early peaks out of Nevera. I love seeing this guy on a chamber the majority of the time, but this round here, sure, it went well to start with, and he's able to clean up the rest of them. But it's some of those earlier duels down on short, I think he was finding it a little bit harder to get involved in. But once that sniper comes out, man, he's a different guy.
Totally agree. I mean, for me, it was so important to see Liquid win. And correct me if I'm wrong, right? Please do so. But our original intention, I think, was of getting Dreamus into Liquid, was to have an underperforming Link, have a little more firepower. And with the short time they had, I mean, sure, Dreamus has to really get into an environment of Liquid, and he didn't perform so well. I'm just asking myself, do you personally believe, if this is the considered upgrade with the same roles or replacing your Link, is that the right guy for it, without doubting he can do it? Someone tell me, give me an answer. Give me an answer, please. I beg you.
I mean, are we saying, so from Team Liquid's perspective, have they come out and said, like, definitively what Dreamus is here to do? Like,
no, I don't 100% know.
Sure,
but
just checking, because I have to imagine that they have to have found something in him that gives the team more direction, because it seems like that's the only thing they're struggling with.
Yeah,
and if
yeah.
The question that you're proposing, does he come in and save them of an underperforming Link? I don't think so. It wasn't like a glaring problem, and I don't think he comes in and is glaringly better. So I have to think there's something else behind the scenes that's driving that.
I could tell you. I wish I could tell you, but it left me worrying. There you see it, It's so vague what he says, obviously, because it's always vague, but it just leaves me, because I don't know how you see it, but I always thought Link was a very fine addition who's very versatile and decent in the fragging department. I mean, throughout the last few days he wasn't, but I don't know. At one point, I'm so scared. I'm so scared for Liquid that they will always steer in a direction of change, and then will never prevail, really. But at the same time, I really don't have any solution for Liquid. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I will say one thing that I want to draw as the definitive, because we're going to have to look at this, the implications of this on the Liquid roster as we go forward into the future. Definitely don't want to judge Dreamus's position in this roster, within the first couple of weeks,
yeah, sure.
At least. But I do think that, an underlying silver lining for me is Link handled this incredibly graciously. I mean, to not only tweet out like, hey, I'm going to the bench and I'm cool with it, but like, I believe this is something that they needed to do to be the best. I don't know many people that would phrase it like that, and I think if that's the way he's looking at it, fantastic for him, at least for his mental, and hopefully he'll find another team. And with an attitude like that, I think he will. That's a strange way to phrase it, but hey, I can get behind it. Seeing that maybe, like, as we've said about Team Liquid for a long time, I don't think there's any shame on any one player. I don't think you look at this roster and go, problem is, it's not necessarily as easy as just point and click on them, but the reality is, the pieces are all great, but they maybe don't assemble the right shape.
Yeah,
you need something a little different to stick them together.
I just think you're right when you say that maybe Dreamus has something very special. I don't know what's the thing with Dreamus, but it's either something very special with Dreamus or a problem with Link, like directly with his gameplay, his way to see the game, or maybe a personal problem. It could be that too, and they didn't communicate anything about it. But to do a change mid-season, because remember, that's the thing. This change is a mid-season change. It's not before playoffs. It's not before Copenhagen if they qualify. It's a mid-season change. So either there is something really good in Dreamus, or there is a problem with Link that, they couldn't really fix, maybe. I don't know. So they had to make a
clash
change.
of some kind.
Maybe a clash. We will never know, to be honest. But what I see is that Link is very open-minded because you can see what he's tweeting right now. Like what he tweeted, I mean, it's like, yeah, he understands it's actually a good move for the team. So being as open-minded is honestly props to him. But yeah, doing a mid-season change like this, that means most of the time there's something behind it, something behind the scene, you know?
Yeah, yeah, almost certainly. And I think you have to hope that it is one of the majority of the time, for as long as they've been together, it seems very unlikely it's something, you know, falling outs or any of that sort of stuff. I think it has to be gameplay centric. Seems like Link's got a good grasp on it. It's altogether an overall good thing. I was very worried, again, my perception of being a little different when I know Yempi's original statement of, like, you know, the way it was phrased that he wants to leave, and a lot of people got the impression that he's looking actively to go back to CS, whereas obviously he said once they win something like a Masters, a Champion, something like that, and he'll consider it. So that's not even on the cards for now. So this could be the future face of Team Liquid, and yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on as we go along. We're here looking at the last map. That was the last round of the first half, ended up 6-6, and boys, it didn't get any more convincing as it went along. I mean, these teams were neck and neck all the way up to, what, like a triple overtime before Liquid were eventually able to steal it away. But there were 2 chances here for Navi to close it out. It's got to be a heartbreaking loss for them, because I think if they had won this, they could have been in an okay position in the groups to maybe push through to playoffs. And they were so painstakingly close, a 13-11 loss and a triple OT.
What I believe, and you have cast a few Na'Vi games, Mitch, I believe.
Yes, sir.
Is when we take a look and compare regions, right? We've always been in this thinking, okay, there's Central Europe, there's CIS, and there's obviously Turkey. And for when
15 seconds left on plans, by the way. 15 seconds left. This is a Navi attack.
Yeah, this is a Navi type beat, man. I've never. If you would have blindfolded me, I could have told you this is Navi. But
OT.
What the thing is, I think when I take a look at evolution and revolution in game style and sense and the kind of direction you want to go, it felt like Turkey, in the form of BBL, absolutely advanced, and Navi stayed the same. I personally believe that those Navi attack rounds are very identical to what they had in stage 1. And that kind of bothered me to a certain extent. Not saying it doesn't have to work, but it seems like very often it does not work. And therefore, I believe it is like I'm feeling like I'm back in 2015 CSGO. And this is like, you tell me this is Navi, yep, it's in their DNA, it's in their contract. So, I don't know, I just want to see something a little bit different, because the other CIS teams don't necessarily do it that way, so I don't know what it is with Navi.
Yeah, I think even just their own split, I'm sure some people, Navi fans in particular, if any of you are watching, probably go, "That's what are you talking about, man? They didn't play the same comp here versus Liquid.
Yes,
they did last stage. Of course, meta shift, right? These guys are also having to adapt and not being able to shoehorn Astra. You've got many differences over on that side in quite a long time. It's been like 4 months since we'd last seen them play on a split here. So a tough enough one for them overall. They made a damn good beat of it, though. As I said, 2 chances to close it out. And it was in this overtime where Liquid eventually found that first round and then closed it out. One hell of a fight. But I think that seals Navi's place. I don't know if any of you guys have done more. I mean, look, they're up against Guild next. So I'm going to say with a decent level of confidence, they're going to get smashed in the Guild game unless Guild just fall asleep at the wheel. They've just been, and that's not.
I just don't like your predictions, Navi. Bitch, man. Every time you predict something, it's always the opposite. So I'm just not going to trust you.
And you know what? If that gives Navi a win, then fuck it. Yeah, that's fine by me. Guild already have top seed. They can be happy with that. Just give Navi the little fighting chance, which could end up, I think, in like an interesting 3-4-way tie situation. You know, a lot of teams there on 1-3, and there's various slip ups. We had kind of mech with that slow start to the season. Who did Liquid drop the map to? It was Guild that they went down to, so they're fine. So it's really just mech can end up jumbled in with the rest of those teams in a really weird tie, and I don't think anyone wants it to come to that. I remember a time way back where, so this is going back to Ignition events. When we were casting Ignition events, I don't know how many people would know this, but like a lot of the time we would get sent the team invite lists. Mainly because if you saw the first couple Ignition events, it was fucking offensive how many terrible teams were invited. So we got to the point where like people would ask us, hey, we want to get you to cast the event. And as soon as we were in the door like that, we're like, okay, it's us casting. cool. Can we please get the list of teams like right away? It's like the first thing we need is to make sure you haven't just invited some random organization who have just 5 players we've never heard of who haven't played in anything. You know, all this bullshit that was going on Forza back in the day. But yeah, we ended up influencing that quite a bit and really getting hands-on with it. So seeing things go the way they are now, it's a lot better. I'm much happier with the overall situation that we're in terms of picking it out. So yeah, that was Team Liquid. They're sorted. Navi, sadly, not going to be moving too much further. I think they're pretty much stuck where they're at. We're on to Big versus Mech. Look, guys, I expected this one to be very convincing in favor of Mech. I don't know how you guys thought, but
how did you think, Mitch? What do you think?
Oh.
I think Zescht was rooting for Mech. This is him when they lost in sheer pain.
This was originally when I saw it. So, you have no idea how happy I was. It was such a good day. It was such a good day. It was the best day. I don't know when I don't remember any birthday being as good as that. So, you know,
This man has had a tragic childhood, but
oh no, not at all. But
he's
still,
a big fan, so it's not the worst thing he's ever experienced.
Oh yeah, I've suffered a long time. You know, I felt like there were needles all over my body, and I finally kind of could pull those out. But you know what? It felt there's 2 things that is really remarkable. Because on paper, let's be honest, Mac always wins against Big. Period. I think there's no big discussion about it. And sure, what has been done really well by Big is understanding, and I'm particularly talking about Bind, how much they need to just wait it out and play a very identical default time and time again on the attacking side. But at the same time, what was the weirdest thing, and I think I talked particularly to Gopi about it, he said, the most disciplined team I know is Gambit. So back in the day, Gambit. And this is not the most disciplined Gambit I know. This is not the most Mac disciplined I know, because how many individual mistakes did they make in their prime? Near to none. They were really not giving away, you know, situations where like, oh, they overpeaked. Oh, this was too much of a 1v1 situation. And here they did it. So Big was absolutely opportunistic about it and really understood on how to capitalize with that. And also on top of that, really understood how to break the momentum from Mac from time to time by really taking it mostly slow, but then there was this one timeout by Mac. They instantly done a really good set piece on the B side back on Bind. Those things were really remarkable to me on how much they understood the game. And this is like finally the curse breaking. And I hope this is what they finally needed.
You know, a lot of us would have held our breath in that first half. You think like, well, at the end of the day, guys, this is Mac, right? They can have a slow start on that attack side, but their defense is the best in the world. They never end up losing out there. They'll be able to make this comeback. They win the pistol. They lose the follow, like the buy round, go down. We end up in this position. 12 rounds on the board. Mech just keep on clocking up round after round. 12-8, 12-9. Zescht was sweating, perspirating, watching this one, but man, they got it across the line in the end. And I gotta say, this was not even a display that I can sit back and point to one player on Big. I can't say that Mech came in and they were like the worst they've ever been or something. Like Defo had an okay game. He wasn't tragic. He wasn't missing. He didn't unplug his mouse. You know, Nats was firing off. He was winning clutches. This was altogether an all right game for Mech. And Big just went fucking nuclear.
The question I'm sometimes asking myself in this
not this one.
Oh, this was weird. This is the knife round of him, yeah? Yeah, that is a knife. That was
the shorty, and then the shorty again, and then the knife misses, and it's just a disaster.
You know, sometimes I would like to just have this world, this fantasy world, this parallel universe, in where Mac is Mac, and Mac has one player. I don't want to say who should be replaced because that would be unfair. That is an X factor. You know what I mean? We said at the beginning, Mac is well-rounded, but they don't have this X factor type of thing, right? They don't have the CNET or whatever. But imagine the Mac with that. Sometimes I'd love to know how this universe would look like. Because
to be honest with you, man, I always thought that was going to be Defo. Like, when we were going back to, like, Masters 1, this was everybody in the scrims, dude. You feared this guy. I literally, one of the few scrims that I remember, Enzo, I don't know if this sticks with you, but you remember we scrimmed these guys for like one of the first times ever, and Defo on Bind was just running down mid. We were like, what do we do? Okay, like make sure we can trade on him. And it was like the spacing wasn't that bad, but this guy would just fucking headshot 4 of you, and you're just like, what am I supposed to do? I can't react to him. And then he's never really hit that level outside of that, though. I feel like I'm always waiting for that defo that I'm just afraid if I'm like, there's an updraft on A, go B, like run. I want that defo to come back out again and challenge the likes of your Derkes and CNEDs and Alpha Years and so on.
Yeah, I think defo has always been the X factor on LAN, at least in this team. But like, remember Chronicle on LAN as well was huge. And they also have a guy like Shadows who can pop off at any time. So I think this team has all the X factors that they need, but it's just about like, when are they going to show up, for their team? They're definitely showing up on LAN, but online right now it's maybe a little bit different. We cannot only summarize it to on LAN or on LAN, of course. It's just that there's so many different factors that are influencing the game. And I think Big played really well. I also think that Mech actually played the game pretty well. Like, we saw a good Mech, like, from what I've seen, And it was a really challenging and a really great game to watch, but Big had the upper hand, but just slightly, I'm just looking forward to see the next games from Big, because what do they need to qualify? They need to win against PBL, and Mech has to lose, right? The next game.
Yes.
Yeah, something like that.
And that will force a tie situation, and then it comes down to what I was going to say earlier, right? It dragged on a little. We ended up on what is a tiebreaker, and those rules, they've changed a lot. I couldn't tell you what they are right now.
I think I
got told at the start. You might know more, Zescht, hosting, but they always I'll tell you what, the teams don't know. I'll tell you that 100%. They have the facility to know. They have the information. They just if you ask a player, they'll be like, Enzo, do you know what the rules are? That's a great example. Enzo, what are the rules for a tiebreaker? If you end up you're top of your group, so you don't give a shit. But what happens if you end up tied? Do you know?
I have no clue, bro.
Exactly.
I guess it's like head to head, like who wins against who, or
yeah, it goes head to head, and then it's like there's a bunch of things, like there's rounds won, there's maps won, I don't know what the order is between like all the different things, and obviously, basically going into your final game, you're just like, I want to win, and I want to win as many rounds as I can. That's just like, if you can even worry about that second part, I think you're just so preoccupied with winning, right, that you're not like, we have to win 13-7, like.
Yeah, you just want to win. That's the priority, of course. Like, you just want to win the game and take it round by round, to be honest. Like, at least that's our philosophy. But, when you're playing the game, you just want to win the game. You don't think about, maybe if we go 13... Oh, fuck, 13-7. That means we're going to be in the bad shape for the next game, like, on the head-to-head. Guys, it's 13-8. Fuck this. No, you don't do that. You just want to win. You just want to win. You don't think about it. Right now, I'm not thinking about it. I never thought about it. You just want to win.
Yeah. Oh, well, now you're top seed, so you definitely don't need to think about it. It's all good. It's plain sailing. Yeah. Overall, this is a great sign. I mean, look, we've got Zescht on. We have to celebrate the victory of the Germans, but it really is huge. Like, for these guys, not just for the the whole German scene and so on, but it's huge for this team because they've been around a while. Let me tell you, they've been trying, but
really,
finally. And who would have thought getting rid of Gob-B, Zescht? What do you reckon? Was Gob-B the problem? Zescht's opinion. Here it is.
Getting rid. This is a very harsh thing to say. But I see your point.
Dodging the question. Yep.
Yeah, I'm dodging it. Gob-B was not the problem. Period. All right. Maybe they needed a redirection, but Gob-B... I think Gob-B, honestly, was to a few of those players a father. Period.
Of course.
Aslan was never playing a proper shooter outside of Battalion, but Mitch, come on, let's be honest, it's Battalion.
I'm man.
Yeah, so...
I'm man Aslan.
Listen, I'm not going there. And he was being brought up by Gob. I remember very vividly, for a week at the beginning in 2020, I was sitting in pracs with them and was just listening. And I remember Aslan, you need to see Aslan playing with Gob-B, and Aslan saying, hey, how about I IGL on the CT side? And I was like, all right. That's all right. That's a cocky thing to say, but he's done it, right? And he's continuously learned. So I think a redirection worked for them, and I'm genuinely surprised. I'll be honest with you, because I'm also a very big doubter. I'm genuinely surprised that they won a game at this stage, considering that they had a very fresh restart and they had one of the biggest changes for me this stage, which is getting one of your most experienced IGLs out of the way and getting someone in who IGL'd before, but who still need to restructure a team to a certain extent. And I think that worked. That worked, period. And it was so important to see.
And so, I mean, when we heard about this team, this lineup, I don't know about you, I looked at that lineup and thought, Looker's IGLing, you know, this has got to be it. And then I heard it was Musashi. I was like, oh, okay, cool. That can be kind of interesting. But it is Looker, as we found out in the last couple of days. Have you caught many of his games? Have you been watching your ex-teammate?
A little bit, not all of the games, because obviously it's not our group, so I don't have you know, I don't have time to watch the games in our group. So watching the games from the other group is, I will watch them, but later on, because obviously there's a lot of ideas in every game, and I'm also watching a lot of VRL, like the French one, because these teams are great. But
some of them are playing Phoenix, I hear. This is
yeah, and
mandatory,
MDR was playing mandatory was playing Phoenix on Acend, I think, on Akuma. But whatever, about Lucker and Big, I think it's a logical thing. Like, Lucker has been IGL for like 6 months, I would say, at the end of Alliance. And he was doing a good job, and that's the continuity of things, I think, at Big. So I think it's a logical thing that he ends up IGLing at Big. Yeah. I think it's normal.
And so if you don't have time to watch VODs or anything, at least you have time to turn around and look at that beautiful picture of Derke, right? From time to time.
Oh, you mean bold Derke right here, yeah? You know what? When he's clutching in game, yeah? I go like this. And Derke and me, we go, hey, yo, go high five, bro. And we go like this, you know? That's a moment we share together.
I love it.
I have bold Derke behind me, but don't worry, next week I'm gonna have maybe Alpha Year. And then the week after, I'm gonna have Mystic, and then I'm gonna have Boaster, but not the face of Boaster. You know the
Okay.
Oh yeah. I know that one. I think
that side.
Just the other side. Yeah, wait and see, boys. Wait and see. I can have everything.
I hope it's a GIF. Oh,
well, I can make I can make that happen. I can do that. I will make that happen. I don't know when, but wait and see.
I want to see it. I
look forward to it. Well, listen, let's move on to our next game here, boys. This one was another pretty close one, all things considered. G2 versus Acend. This, to me, 2-0. Acend, move on, quick as can be. Zescht, it didn't really go down like that, did it? What the fuck happened on Split?
Dude, Listen, we talked about X Factors, and the first game, the first map, was, if I looked it up correctly at the point in time, the worst ever career performance of CNET. Man, he was stumbling.
Sounds right, yeah.
I mean, listen, it's fine that CNET doesn't always get 400 ACS. I'm far away from being the guy who's, he has to always get 300 kills. No, but at the same time, I think we can agree that CNET is a winning factor in the kill department for Acend. Period. That's just the thing, right? And with him being so off and G2 delivering so goddamn good on the defensive side, like, this is still the thing about Split. We see sometimes a more equal Split and we see a more defensive side Split, but they took their momentum with ease, period. And that first map was just out of contention. I was genuinely worried at this point. I was genuinely worried that Acend is gonna stumble here, and it looked like they'll stumble here. And they did, but then from that point on, it just got closer. I mean, from that point, it just got closer and closer. I'm kind of happy that they closed out Icebox in the end and started on the defense there, but my oh my, was that a weird day.
I was watching the Twitter sphere, and everybody was talking about, Mixwell and Chamber. Even the analyst desk was pretty hype about it too, so I went back to watch the game, but, the Chamber on this map was, yes, definitely really good for Mixwell in terms of, like, swatting Zeke in the air while he's satchel charging towards the A site. But I think in general, it's just really good how, as you mentioned, Zescht, G2 controlled that mid side quite well by just simply walling mid side and never getting it broken by Acend for like the first 25 seconds. So everybody could just lean in until like just Mixwell posting it up in an angle and getting opt. I felt that there wasn't enough pushing and pulling from the defaults coming out from the attacker side of Acend, unfortunately. Or our attacker side of Acend, unfortunately.
I don't know if you saw Zescht or Vance. I'm not sure if you saw the Valorant EMEA tweet today with the chamber highlights.
Yeah, I'm gonna go find it now.
It was really good.
I love myself. I love a
Have some
well-placed trap.
popcorn.
I love a well-placed teleport, man. It's so good.
Oh, he's faked the teleport.
Yeah.
Number 2. It's like, what?
It was,
yeah,
like
listen.
legit. The top one clip was just CNET standing on a wall. In 15
Oh, he's
seconds,
up
nothing
top?
else happened.
Dude, I've never been blue balled so hard in my life. I'm like, even Pansy's like, ooh, well, we'll see how long he's gonna hold this for, and I'm like, okay, let's, and it's over. Oh, he doesn't even take a shot. Okay, cool.
It's like he's placing a card, and boom, that's it. That was the entire trailer.
That's it. There was
entire
more action in that than the whole fucking
3
highlight
minutes.
video, Zescht.
I mean, okay, whatever. It was a fun thing to do. It was great to watch.
funny. It was funny. It was funny. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
In hindsight.
Yeah, it was funny. Yeah.
Laughing at it, I feel like more so.
Sure.
But anyways, let's
go
let's
on.
let's talk a little bit about that, because look, Mixwell, we came in last week, we had the discussion about how he was switching up his roles, and he had fought for this role as kind of primary duelist, your Jet, your Chamber, as it is now essentially Jet, pre-Jet nerfs, and you know, seeing him swap it up, you're then expecting a lot. He really didn't deliver. It's not necessarily him. That change for the team did not deliver. It did not find value. And so we then ask, well, you know, we've dropped Kellogg's for Mixwell to primary duelist, but now Nukia might be primary duelisting, or, you know, it's up for grabs again. Kellogg's is fucking out here suffering in VRL. He's fucking starving. He's begging to be brought back to the VCT in any capacity. And these guys are just throwing around duelist roles for whoever fucking wants it. But no, I think someone like Hoodie absolutely has the argument for that. It was just a weird switch, and we go back to Mixwell playing a Chamber, and it works damn well on Split. I don't understand how this map went that way. I don't know how CNED, who career average, let me just pull this up, career average 237 maps of Jet played, right? His average damage per round 150 to kill. Motherfucker, there's 162 damage in his entire career as Jet. Across 2 years, he kills more than one person per fucking round. And this guy got 2 kills. I've never seen it before. I have no idea how this happened. But anyways, they got split. Acend's map pick as well, by the way. Just to really hammer it home. It was fucking ludicrous. And then Icebox, surely it's 2-0 then, because Acend are dead in the water, Zescht, and we move on easy peasy. It's G2's map pick. It's Icebox. They've just dominated. But no, life is never so simple, is it?
No, most definitely doesn't. With that Icebox, I personally believe I'm very glad to see again a top performing performance of VAC on that map, for the sake of VAC being, you know, I personally believe still Monster and VAC need to prove a little bit, that they are that additional firepower this team needs, right? This is one of the reasons they got him. So Monster did that very well on defense. VAC did that very well on both sides. I'm very happy about that overall. And it was also nice to see, considering, you know, do you remember the first Acend comp this stage on Icebox, right? You remember the ludicrous Reyna decision they have done? And I was like, all right, are we really convinced that this is what we're gonna do? And they've swapped it up. And I think that was a very reasonable decision at this point to do.
I have to ask you then, Enzo, looking at that, right? We have a map performance on Split, as we're saying, which is pretty shit from CNED. Bounce back to Icebox. After a 13-3, it's kind of easier to reset on a one-sided loss like that, right? Than bouncing in, but remarkable to see him have such a varying performance. Is that as confusing to you as it is to us?
No, it's not confusing. Like, all these guys, not only CNED, they're great players, you know? When you lose a game 13-3 or 13-2, I don't know, when you lose hard, you tend for the next game to talk and focus on the basics again. You focus on like fighting, you focus on the communication, you focus on basic stuff like nice rotations, like small plays, you know? You don't focus on overcomplicating anything like, oh, what they're doing and stuff. You just focus on your own game plan. You go back to the basics of the game. You reset mentally and physically and everywhere you have to reset. And you go again and you fight, you know? And that's what they did on Icebox, sorry. And I'm not surprised to see CNED and VAC like performing on Icebox. It's a new map. It's a new chance. Like, you know, they're they did really good, I think. But I
Mhm.
just wanted to share that as a player, when you get stomped, you usually tend to reset in that way. Like you go back to the basics of the game. Like that's what you have to do, you know?
Yeah.
And to be honest, on Split, I think Mixwell played super well. Like he did really well. And I think on the Ascend side of things, it's not only CNED maybe not killing enough people, it's a team thing as well, you know?
Mm.
Like it's
Yeah.
not CNED's fault. That's what I mean.
No.
It's like it's everyone like involved. Like it's all about the trading, the space that you take. Like people flashing for him, initiating for him. Like look at their comp. It's a double dive comp. It's Raze and Jet. So if the double dive is not working, then what can you do? Especially against a Cypher and a Chamber, because Chamber has a trap and Cypher has two. Like so many traps to fall into. You have the camera. That's one trap. You have two cables. That's three traps in total, and you have one trip on the Chamber. So that's four traps. Plus the Sage who can slow with the combo on the grenade and everything. So your double dive setup is getting destroyed, you know?
Mm.
And that's one factor to take into account. It's not only one guy not killing enough people, but there's so many factors to take into account into like why a team can lose or win a game in general.
And here's the thing, and here's the really interesting point brought up there. We've said for ages, Split attack side, right? And I said Ascend picked this map. They picked Split. Well, they had to start on the attack side. They lost the pistol. They lost the pistol second half as well. They only got to play 4 rounds on defense. One of those was the second round forced by they won and lost immediately after. So that was a tough game. And I'll ask you this, Enzo. Do you reckon you start that first map on defense for Ascend? You think that's a different game?
I don't know. I cannot tell really, because the comp of G2 is kind of a nice
True.
adaptation to their like the comp of Ascent in that case.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Split is a little bit defense-sided, so it's the kind of map that you want to keep at the end of the veto, so that you can choose defense on it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a great start on attack, you can definitely snowball on that map. So I couldn't tell, to be honest. I couldn't give you a precise answer about, oh, if Ascend started defense here, it would have been better. I cannot say anything about it because I just don't know what would have happened. All I can say is they had a rough map. They had a nice reset on Icebox, and the last map was, yeah, the last map was close. You know, it was a nice map to see. I saw this one, and it was a good game to watch.
Yeah, it was even interesting in how it went down. Just we're jumping in towards the end of Bind here. Again, ended up pretty much neck and neck, 10-10. You've got the finances on the line here for both teams, right? Whoever loses this round, no money. And that's probably going to be 12-10. And then you're really backed into a corner. So this is a hugely important round. And Ascend, when we talked about double dive on Split, well, they dove right on in. The pressure was tangible right from the start on that B site.
It felt a lot, because you have to see, if you take a look at the entire game right here, it started really decently for Ascend. It was a 5-1 start, and G2 really early understood on how to, you know, deny the early aggression. For example, they've been attacking B long a lot. They've been doing the steep brimstone smoke, trying to flush out of it, and G2 Esports were not showing much interest. So I think during the half it was a 7-5 for G2. After once importantly, Ascend was in the lead 5-1. So I think also from that perspective, just to say, you know what, first half, whatever, and we're way better on attack was so important for Ascend. And I'm just overall once more really glad to a certain bit that they showed what they're capable of. I don't know if you saw the clip. I don't know who posted the clip of the of how the comms were in the last round. Have you seen that? You seen it, Enzo?
I have the
Yes.
listen to me.
Yeah. It worried me. It worried me to a certain extent that this is how it is.
Wait, I
But
thought there was
same-
another word after the listen to me.
Yeah.
No idea. No idea. Not sure about
It's in
that one.
Polish. We cannot understand.
Exactly.
If you want to look it up on Google Translate there, Vance, and get back to us, go ahead. That's on you.
But I don't know. If, maybe I see it wrong. It could be that I totally see it wrong. But this was something that left me a little bit worried to a certain extent, of being like, am I thinking about this wrong? But is that really the comms on how the comms should look like. You know what I mean? Especially on such a round. I could be wrong, like I said, but it feels like it is so hectic, and this is not what I would like to see from Acend, but they're still in this phase where I think they find themselves to a certain extent, so.
It's so weird to think of Cena, like, you know, I haven't hung out with him, and, you know, you see how Cena is in the interviews and the content pieces and stuff. He's a pretty low-energy guy, right, outside of the game.
He's chill. Yeah.
Pretty chill, and then you hear, like, some of the voice comms come out, and it really brings out the energy in everybody, doesn't it? But I don't know. I don't know what you think about this, Enzo, but for me, it's like, I guess whatever works for the team. Like, if you can perform, all 5 of you are okay with people screaming, then, I mean, what were the G2 comms like back in the Ignition series way back in the days? You reckon Artis was like, all right, boys, there's 2 guys coming around. No, he was screaming like, I gotta kill them all. Like, you don't know what's going on, but it worked. It worked for them. I don't know how you feel, Enzo.
I think it should never be like that, ever. But I also think that this was the 5 seconds of like the whole game that were the worst in terms of comms, you know. So and they're funny ones. So I'm happy they shared it, you know. But remember that Acend is a team. Like, remember their play style. This team is like fight heavy. It's a fight heavy team, if I can summarize it like that. They like to fight. They know how to fight. They know when to fight together. And that's their high quality as a team. You will not know Acend for their great and genius tactics in general. You will know them because they're fighting well together, and this is how they do it. They have their own playstyle and team culture. And if sometimes having fun shouting it like around is part of what they do, then why not, you know? If this is how they find each other, why not? But what I think, no matter what, is that in a like, you should not have moments like this. You should have a clear head, clear comms all the time. With sometimes like people raising their voice to make some priority calls. For example, someone behind you, watch out! Like that guy is like, he has a timing. Someone destroyed the trap. Like something like a high priority call that you can shout. That's how it is, you know. But yeah, I think it shouldn't be like this. But no matter what, I think these were the 5 seconds of like a funny moment from Acend. And again, I'm really glad they shared it, because oh shit, I laughed when I saw that. It was what a moment, man. Like,
I've heard comms like that before. It's like a throwback.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it can happen. It can happen, but some crazy moments, you know. But I cannot believe that it's always like that in Ascent TeamSpeak in general. Like,
no,
but I can believe that sometimes it's going wild, you know, because these guys are wild. That's how they are. Like, that's how they play. So why not? To be honest, why not? If that's how they find themselves, why not?
All right. Well, listen, we've heard about how you like to play the game, and so I guess we better talk about you guys playing the game then, because y'all played a quick game there this week. You're up against Focus, and you know Focus have given out some trouble here and there to a couple of teams. They've had their time in the sun where we thought like, oh, this team can really push to the top, and they've definitely had promise. I mean, that first map against FPX, where they managed to push them 13-11. They had a super close series, taking a map off Acend. The G2 match was incredibly close. And then they met you guys. Jesus.
Yeah, we had a very challenging game, I would say, on Split.
They won both pistols, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, pistols. We struggled to win pistols on this day. What I can say is that they started 4-0, I think, on Split.
Yep.
It felt like we were actually losing everything. Then there was a kind of declic on our side, and we started winning rounds, like a lot of rounds in a row. And yeah, we had a nice momentum after this 4-0, I would say. And yeah,
sorry, no, I was just looking. How surprised were you about Split, because they never play that?
This is also the reason why we decided to play it. It's because they never played it, so we were like, okay, why not? Like, we can actually do something on Split maybe against them. And then Bind was the second map, and wow, I believed. I believed in the 13-0 on Bind again. But
did you say it out loud though? Did you curse it? Is that what happened here?
No, we didn't say anything about it. I remember all the comms. We didn't say anything about it. we only talked about it afterwards. Like, oh, I actually believe in the 13-0 on this one. But then I think we lost a clutch on B side, and we were like, oh, okay, let's go next round, and that's it. That's pretty much it. But we don't really talk about these things like, oh, maybe we can 13-0, yeah.
Yeah.
No, we just don't. But we had a like tactically a really good game.
Oh yeah. It
On
was so
binds.
clear. Yeah.
And everything except on the last round, everything in our minds was like very, very clear from the first round until the round before the last round. And on the last round we slipped a little bit, but we eventually won it. Like we had a nice 2v5 clutch, I think. 2v4 maybe.
No, 2v5. It was 2v5.
2v5, all right.
It was 2v5 because what I remember, what I remember very vividly, I was talking from previous iterations to Mini, where you always said discipline is a thing that we as a team work on. Discipline is something that we have to work on consistently. And for me personally, before you came into the roster, I saw Boaster as this big pillar of discipline, and the other ones still have to learn, right? Because I think for me, you are the second most experienced players, considering also other shooters in the team. So would you personally say that this discipline factor that you have as Fnatic is something that has drastically improved, or something you didn't even see as a worry, as a sorrow ever since you joined?
So we are not quite there yet in terms of discipline to like, limit test everything, min-max everything, and make sure everything is like perfect at all times. But I would say during the last few weeks we improved so much on that specific topic, and so that's the thing we need to understand with discipline. Discipline is not about trying to always do the right thing and not make a mistake. Discipline is all about timing, especially on Valorant. Sometimes you have to take a risk, sometimes you have to go in, sometimes like you have to, I don't know if you know what I mean, you have to like go take that risk because it's a risk reward thingy.
Yes.
And sometimes in some other situations you have to be disciplined and be like, okay, I'm not going to do that specific move because that's what's gonna win me the round, It's all about winning the round and playing on reliability, like doing something reliable. What's going to win me this round in the most reliable way? But also, you have to play with your feelings. If your feelings tell you, hey, I have to pick that, I'm gonna get a triple kill because I have a good timing, you're going to go away from maybe that discipline thing, like where you're not supposed to do this, but still you have to do this because your feelings are telling you to do it, because from your experience this is how you're going to destroy the enemy. So it's always a happy medium between making sure everyone is disciplined in the team, but also making sure that everyone is inspired and willing to do something, willing to take a risk, never scared to make a move. So that's the thing we are working on, I would say. It's not only pure discipline, but it's the timings at which you're going to have to be disciplined and the timing at which you're going to have to go full ham and take your chance and destroy the enemy. And I think Valorant is a lot about this specific thing in general.
Enzo, I gotta ask you, so far in VCT, has there been a game that stands out to you as your favorite so far, or
Oh yes,
is all yeah? Which
yes,
one
of
is that?
course, FPX. Come on,
FPX.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right, that is
The
a
FPX
perfect
game.
segue. Perfect. 'Cause up next is the FPX game. Let's cue it, boys. Let's roll it.
Yeah.
Whatever our first footage is for FPX, there it is. What a game it was, Enzo.
It was so cool because like this was our first game for me and Alpha under Fnatic during this VCT. Obviously, I played with Fnatic before in Iceland, but that was my first official game with like in the main roster, like not as a sub. And we started on Fracture and we win 13-3 on them. Once again, like our macro, on this game was perfect. Then second map was Acend. Same story. Their macro on the game was perfect. Everything they did, the utility, the timing at which they used utility, everything was like they taught us at least a lesson on Ascent, and we improved so much from that lesson. And then last map was Icebox, and that map was challenging. Like it's like it was a close game, but in the end, like we we started to maybe slip a little bit, but we found the edge, and I remember the comms of this game. We started to be a bit more loud in the end of the game, and maybe a bit more stressed, but it's not like bad stress, it's like happy, you know?
Mhm.
And we did work on that thing after this game. So that first game against FPX was so nice to play because it was one of the like it was the first game for me on Alpha. It was also so nice to play because we learned a lot from this. Like we became a better team again after this game. And what a way to start the season! I mean, winning against FPX, like this, we were so happy about it. It was like, wow, it's actually working. Like we have a good lineup there. Like everything is balanced in our team. Let's do it now. Let's roll. Let's go for a new week, work again, and up to the next game. You know.
Yeah, you know, I'm realizing as well. I had a little itch in the back of my head. I had to go and find it. Way back, February 5th, Alliance versus FPX. There it is, right back in the first run of the team. We lost 13-9 on Haven and 13-7 on Split. But Enzo, it's been a while. Vengeance, vengeance at last.
Yeah,
destroy the enemy.
I didn't think about it, but now that you say it, I agree, bro.
Yeah, no, that's the one thing though we hear from players I think the most in post games after FPX or in the weeks preceding them on podcasts and so on. You'll hear them say like losing to FPX, just playing against them, you get taught a lesson. You come out of it as a better team. So it's you hate to see them in your tournament run because it's going to be a tough game, but at least if you lose, you're going to walk out with a few lessons learned from good old Angel and the boys. That was a fantastic win, man. And I mean, building on that, do you guys think that helps you really? It's your first game, like you're saying. If you two come in and it's shaky, maybe, you know, the gray clouds start to descend, things go bad, but being able to beat FPX right off the bat, I mean, that must have just been the perfect thing to propel you guys forward into the season.
Yeah, I mean, this game was like so nice for us to play in general, and then the game after was Acend, and the main thing is that I felt
OG.
like we was it not
Yeah,
Ascend?
we
Oh, it was
week
OG.
two was
Oh, you're
OG.
right.
Yeah.
It was
Ultra
OG
Chat, huh?
against. Oh yeah, I forgot. It was against my brother Hype.
We're hype.
Oh yeah, how can I forget this game?
So you talked
Ow.
about the dream of the 13-0, didn't you?
This one, yeah.
you got it here.
What a feeling! Like we were rolling. It felt good. Like Derke was on fire, but that's the thing with Derke and Alpha and everyone in the team. It's like our team dynamics, the way we prepare for the games, and our mindset, like, is so nice that we allow ourselves to do that. You know, like
Yeah.
again, it's obviously because Derke, Alpha, everyone in the team is so talented. I'm speaking about them because I think they popped off against OG, but it's also because like we like have that team environment that allow them to feel good and be like, okay, let's destroy everyone, you know. And I'm thinking about Alpha specifically because hey, he's 16 years old. He's a new guy in the team. He barely speaks English, or at least he barely spoke English when he arrived. And then we like he learned a lot. I am every day with him and trying to help him, you know, with everything and English included, and just being the best teammate like I can be for him. And like I would say, like, I wouldn't say it's paying off, but I'm really happy to see him like enjoy himself, like have fun, you know, in game and performing like this and destroying everyone. And I hope he continues to do so, especially for playoffs, because playoffs are coming in 2 weeks.
Yep.
And yeah, like after the game against OG, there was the game against Ascend, and I think personally this one for me was when my fade started to pop off on the game on Ascent, because this is one of the games where I think I had like average statistics where I actually did pretty good, I would say, but the amount of assists from what I remember I had
17.
the amount of assists and the amount of like, it's not
Yeah.
not only the assists, it's like the reveals, the dogs, but also the infos, like the baits, like everything that I did for my teammates on this game. I felt like I drastically improved on my Fade, and I kept on improving since then, and I intend to like keep doing better and better on this Fade because it's a new agent, you know.
Mhm.
And I didn't find like the limit of it yet. There's so many things to do on it. So yeah, that's personally for me, like this game against Acend was like something happened for me on Fade where I'm like, okay, the impact I have on this agent is actually insane,
Mhm.
and I have to keep doing that because my teammates, like, I know that they really like it, you know, and they really like I'm helping them, and I feel like I'm useful for them, which is the most rewarding thing for me as a support player, as a second IGL, like in the team. That's my role, yeah, and I feel like I'm
Mhm.
fulfilling my role, so I'm really happy about it.
I
Uh,
think it's
yeah,
important to highlight that we're only 17 rounds in total, and you ended up with 17 assists. So as
yeah,
well
yeah,
as 12 to
totally,
10
yeah.
in kill KD. So pretty impactful. I think overall. That's I mean, it's good to see, and I think a lot of teams are going to take a while. A lot of players are going to take a while to really find out where Fade fits in this ecosystem, because right now you can't really play her to her full potential because you need people to react properly to how she's being played to then react and build on it and so on. So we see it with every agent, right? It takes just like a month, a little longer of comp play running, and then we get in the swing of things and it really starts to build on it. And I think, we certainly saw the right signs on Acend. Moving over to Icebox, a little bit closer, but again, these guys really have a tough time when it comes to keeping rounds up on the board up against you guys. I mean, I'm looking down here. We talked about CNED's performance and how it had been, not great this week. Well, this was the week that they pulled out the Reyna against you guys. Did that catch you by surprise a little bit, seeing that on the Icebox, or were you prepped for CNED's Reyna?
I don't remember, but I do remember that on the anti-strat, I would say, we were ready for the operator to be on CNET, actually, on Reyna.
Mm-hmm.
So that information is like a very valuable information. Like, I remember repeating it in the end of the game, that like we should watch out for that specific thing. But I'm not gonna go into details about like what we focus on and what we look
Yeah.
into on the anti-strat, of course, because that would be throwing. But I remember that specific aspect on the Reyna, that sometimes he had operator. I wouldn't say it surprised us, like, at all. That's fine.
Mhm.
We adapted pretty well. But I think we had a good game. It was a hard start, a tough start, like had to get into the game and find ourselves. But once we, I don't know after how many rounds from what I remember, but I remember that we won a lot of rounds in a row after a while on this Icebox map, and it felt like pretty smooth, you know. Like we had the upper hand tactically. We knew what we had to do to win the game. So that it was a good win. Like, I don't remember everything. It was like a long time ago already. But these
Mhm.
are the things I remember. I remember we won a lot of rounds in a row. Yeah, as we can see right here. Yeah, so that's a lot. And I remember that Reyna did not catch us by surprise, really. Like, we just had to take it into account in the way we play and the way we advance on site and everything. That sometimes she can get a kill and go away and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
you have a lot. For example, even when you do a Killjoy ultimate, you have to take care of Chamber, because Chamber can get the kill and TP away into the ultimate. But you also have to care about Reyna, who can stay like close to you, get a kill, fade away while the ultimate is about to pop, and then, pop again in front of your face without being detained. So, it's a lot of things that you have to take into account depending on the enemy composition. And after playing and practicing, it gets into your mind, you get used to it, you just have to be ready for it, and that's it.
Mhm. Yeah, I think I must have completely gotten wires crossed. I think it's like recency bias. So I was like, oh, CNET on Reyna for some reason like really strikes a nerve in my head, and then it's because this week they didn't play it, but of course CNET's been running Reyna on Icebox for fucking ages. I don't know why I thought there was like a period where he didn't, but
But yeah, no, it's now there's a period where they don't. So timelines are crossed over. So like, I mean, to see it be a 2-0 overall, I know you guys are coming in hot and everything, but that's got to be a shock at least. Although Acend have obviously gone through some changes recently, I think that they certainly don't look like on paper like they'd be a weaker team for them. I think if anything, no one's really doubting VAC, right? But you look at Monster, it's like maybe the lack of experience at a top level might hurt him, but he seems to be performing pretty well from what I've seen of him so far. I mean, what do you make of this new Acend roster? Are they a big threat? How do you guys view them?
I think the players they got allow them to keep on doing their playstyle. Like I said about Acend, like fighting heavy, like they found the right players to do so, which is really important. And I don't know, I think we are going to see CNED more on Chamber in the future.
Yeah.
Simply because Chamber is a duelist. Let's be honest. Like that's also an important topic, I think. But Chamber is definitely a duelist, so I think CNED maybe is going to be on Chamber a little bit more in the future. After this game lost on Split, maybe they realized like, oh, maybe we can just get a Chamber on CNED and just roll, you know? I don't know, that's a personal opinion again. But I think this team, like, they found the right players and they're gonna keep on improving. I also saw a lot of improvements with OG, the way they're playing. Like, honestly, from match 1 to their last game, like, I think OG improved a lot. Like, okay, they lost against FPX, but from what I saw, especially also in practice, like they're learning a lot and they're improving a lot. And overall, like you said, Mitch, okay, it was on our side a lot of 2-0 games against maybe the best teams, but these teams are still like so good. Like all the teams are so good. Like VCT EMEA is so stacked right now.
Would you say it's going to be, let's say you have a rematch against Acend, you think it's going to be as easy next time? Is it going to be harder second time around?
It's going to be a completely different game. Like, but we will try to keep the upper hand and always be ready for the next step, you know? And everything that they could change, like, we will be ready. So I cannot predict the future, but I know, like, we will be ready for sure because the way we prepare games, and big props to Mini and Boaster on this specific thing, the way we prepare games is, I've never seen that before. Like, it's great. Like
That's
I said
fantastic.
on the post match against OG, we knew everything about OG, like absolutely everything, and this all comes to Boaster and Mini, like, and the work they do before like the match for preparation, it's great for them. Like, like they're so good at what they do right now.
It's good to hear because we always talk about that on the desks. We talk about it, you know, we're guessing, right? We're saying, oh, this guy, we've heard so many reports and so on. It's good to hear it firsthand that is really a backbone of the Fnatic team. And I think something that's overlooked, unfortunately, when it comes to a lot of tier 1 teams that we've got right now. Yeah, I feel like your Fnatics, your Team Liquids, your Sen, we talk about a lot, but there's definitely some of the teams that maybe don't get the same kind of credit on the back supporting staff. So that's good to see. You talked about not being able to predict the future, but I'm gonna ask you about something that you don't want to see coming through. Is there anyone right now that you view as a big threat? Who's the #1 team you don't want to face in the VCT? Maybe that's a bad way to ask it. I don't want to say there's someone you don't want to face, but like, who's gonna give you the best match? Let's put it that way.
Wow, best match. It's hard to say because I'm thinking about playoffs right now. I think our show match against G2 is going to be great because that's a show match. There's no value out of this game. I think it's gonna be
your Jet.
No, not my Jet. No, my Phoenix, bro. My Phoenix.
Oh, perfect. Yes, let's get those pick rates up. Let's get them up.
Bro, every time I come here in the show, I'm talking about Phoenix. At one point, it's going to be about Phoenix, you know?
Bro, I'll tell you something. This might sway you. Currently, Phoenix at VCT at 0% in North America, 0% in EMEA. Nobody is. You would be the first person to pick him at a top level.
Wait for it to be changed or, you know, upgraded or however you say. I don't know, but
Yeah.
Wait for the next update about Phoenix and we see how it goes. But
Wait till Drone joins the team again. Then we'll see
Who?
some Phoenix. Drone.
Get him out.
There's
Hey,
one-
hey! Don't mess with my drone that way. Don't call him a
Sorry.
who.
No, didn't mean to. I don't know who even plays in NA. Anyway, what I wanted to know, because we talked about support staff, and what I would really be very kind of curious about is you officially have a performance coach at Fnatic, right?
yes,
How often and in which capacity do you work with him, in case you can talk about that?
yeah. So our performance coach is Marcus,
Mhm.
and he works with us every single day.
Every day.
Yes, he's with us at all times, every day.
Okay.
He's watching our games.
Okay.
He's not only thinking about us like physically, he's also thinking about us mentally and maybe sometimes in the way we communicate. Even though, like, for communication, I would be sometimes raising my voice about it with Mini on some specific rounds because you can always improve from like these rounds. But Marcus will think more about like the mood of the team, like if everyone is feeling good, and he's absolutely every day with us. There's not a single day where Marcus is not with us and watching our games, and that's great because in the past I did work with performance coaches and it was good. Like it helped us improve on some specific topics. Like I did improve from previous performance coaches, but Marcus being with us every single day, no matter what we need, no matter what advice we need, whether it's about food or sleep or anything, he's there with us at all times. So like it's great as a player. It's great to have.
Maybe that's too specific, but I would really like to know how he influences you as a team. Like, what particularly does he do in one-on-one sessions or with the entire team that it makes you perform better or be more calm or whatever it is?
So I don't know about all the one-on-one sessions because I don't know what they talk about with the other
course.
players, but at least with me, it's been about like setting some specific goals, like whether it's in the game or outside of the game. Like now, because of Marcus, I go, like I do gym 3 times a week, and I didn't do that before, like at least not like all the weeks, you know.
Mhm.
But now I have that regularity, like I always do it, so like I feel actually better, like just all these small things. I couldn't tell like very specifically without going
Of course.
out
Yeah.
of the private things, you know.
Getcha.
But yeah, these are like nice one-on-one sessions, and also with the whole team, where we do everything together to feel good mentally, but also is doing us all the stretches, like all the exercises that we have to do at the start of the day, at the end of the day, like everything. Like I don't want to go into like specific details, but
Sure.
yeah, he has a huge impact on the team.
You're gonna start popping some yoga squats for us. Show us like the stretches. We can play along at home.
I offered you that.
Only for you, Mitch. Only for you.
Mitch, I offered you that at last
are
time
private
playoffs.
lessons.
I offered you that we can do a morning stretch of 10 minutes, and you said
Zescht.
no.
Zescht, I have been begging to get on the desk now just so we can do some stretches together in our
anything,
hotel
Mitch.
rooms beforehand.
Hey,
but
really,
we'll get
all
there.
the time, man.
We'll
All
get
day,
there
all night.
eventually.
Yeah, you guys have a date now.
Hopefully not.
Oh man, well, what a run it has been for you guys. And like we said, you're playing up against G2 next, and it is a show match. It's not going to have any sway. Top seed secured, and wow, what a journey, man. I'll just say I'm so happy to see you doing so well and see all the guys. I know that pretty much the entire Fnatic team's beautiful, wonderful guys to be around. So it's fantastic seeing you guys taking that dub, and obviously best of luck as we move on into the playoffs, which will be coming up. Some pretty steep competition, and I guess for you guys, you really don't know who you're going to be playing because it depends a lot. It could be Big, Navi, BBL, Mech. I mean, is there a team there you'd rather?
I don't know.
Could it be Liquid?
I would like
If
to face
Liquid
Liquid
lose-
personally. I don't know.
Oh
I don't know.
yeah. Because if
I
they
think it
lose
could-
to Mech,
yeah.
yeah, you're right, 100%.
There's a small chance of it being Liquid right now.
Mhm.
I don't know. Like all I know is like we're gonna have to prepare for that opponent as any other opponent, I'm so excited right now because okay, this week I can rest a little bit and then grind again and have a nice show match against G2, yeah? But then on like the preparation for playoffs is going to be huge. We're gonna grind to be at our best level like ever. And if I'm not wrong, we are 1 game away, right? We are
Yeah.
1 win away from qualifying to Masters. Like
I think so.
Top 3. Right, hold on. Let's do
Yeah, I
some
mean, of
quick-
course. Yeah, of course. If you're in the
you
upper
would be
bracket
lower
final,
final.
yeah,
we are in top
T2,
3 no matter
That
what.
is,
So,
that is
one.
top 3. Yep.
yeah. So being 1 game away,
Pretty
like,
insane.
okay, I already qualified to Masters before, like actually the first Masters in the game in Europe, but hey, we arrived. Yo, Mitch, this one is for you. But this one, we arrived at Masters, like we lost all the games and goodbye, you know. But this one is very different now. Like it's under Fnatic. It's to qualify for LAN event again. Obviously, I played before in Iceland. It was on stage and everything, but this one feels different. Like qualifying after a lot of preparation with my team, like qualifying by myself, like this is huge. Like and
I mean, there's going to be a crowd, right?
yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. I did not wanted to say it, but like this is. I don't know if it's going to be big or not, and I'm also thinking about champions because for me the end goal is champions, obviously. But for me that's, and I'm gonna say it again in the future, I believe. But for me that's a dream. Like playing in front of a crowd on a big event, that's the dream for me. Like I'm playing for this reason. That's what I want to do. So if we qualify, like this is going to be huge, and I'm really excited for it. Not only for Masters, but only for for champions. Like that would be huge because of the crowd. And imagine champions in Istanbul in front of a mostly Turkish crowd with Alpha Year, bro. This is going to be huge. Like
Alpha
and
Year
I
CNED
want-
1v1
yeah.
or something.
I want Alpha Year to be
Oh.
able to live this moment, and we live this moment with him. And I'm thinking of it a bit right now. And then I'm gonna stop thinking about it, you know, because it's bad to think too much about it. I'm gonna play the games I have to play first, yeah. But I just wanted to share. That's the dream for me, and that's the reason why. That's the reason why I play.
The reason we're all here. I mean, it's fantastic, and I really hope there's going to be some success for you there. Let's pull up the standings one more time if we can. I want to get from Zescht what he thinks, because I know what games Enzo's going to be looking forward to next week. He's got his own show match, and then of course the other one. But the upcoming matches for this week, Zescht, any that draw your eye right away?
Okay, so let's get through this quick, right? FPX is gonna win against Acend. I'm quite convinced.
Okay.
Mech Liquid is gonna be very interesting because that seems like a very even battlefield at this point. Though I believe Mech is gonna bounce back. Navi Guild's gonna win, and this is where it gets exciting because I believe this is the first game that Focus could finally win. I believe OG London United is beatable, and Focus is not that bad. But let's be honest, right? The teams they were playing against, were not so easy. So, Oglu, my favorite Trek. I really don't necessarily see them. I see this as a win. I see big winning. Man, of course I see big winning. BBL, absolutely, right?
Yeah, easy. Yeah.
Do you have a Focus T-shirt under that big T-shirt?
No, they didn't. I was texting them, and there's not one opportunity yet, and
Those
I am
bastards.
disappointed.
Get an OG jersey on.
Right,
Fuck 'em.
right. Not an OG jersey, an Oglu jersey. Please, can you say
My
accurate?
bad. Half
Hey,
and half. My
right.
bad.
Oglu jersey, and right. I mean, big I believe is gonna win, and Fnatic G2. What shall I say? I mean, shall I say something? I don't even know if I shall say it. On paper, it's easy to say, but I mean, it sounds like it's gonna be.
You want to cast a cursor? Yeah. Go ahead.
It really depends on my Phoenix, I think.
Yeah,
your feelings.
exactly.
On my Phoenix.
Phoenix, I understand.
Hot
Phoenix.
hands.
Okay, yeah. Okay, gotcha.
All right.
You'll
well,
see. You'll
that's
see.
Certainly a rundown. I hope to see you running it back on a Phoenix, Enzo. Looking forward to this weekend for sure. Starting with yourself, obviously. Where can the people at home find you? I mean, I see you're at right underneath. So, go on ahead. Anything you want to shout out to the people at home? Anything you got coming up?
I just thank you for like listening to all of this, and like also thank you guys for the invite. That's
No
great
problem. Anytime.
because we can share some stuff. Like it's great. And overall, like thank you to everybody supporting us, whether we win or lose. Everybody watching our games and enjoying what they see. You know, since I joined Fnatic, I felt a huge support, not only from the French community, but like a huge support from all the Fnatic fans. Like they welcomed me. Like it's super nice. Like I felt that support. What did I see? My what did you do, Mitch? What happened?
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We just had some relevant statistics pop up there. Just for
His
the
Phoenix
people
is
at home.
super good for sure. Yeah, I can't wait to see that, bro. Against G2.
He's gonna
Oh.
prove the world wrong. Phoenix is actually a must-have in your comps. This man's gonna prove it to you.
Yeah, I wait for the next meta, of course.
Can I ask one more weird question, Mitch?
Of course
So-
you can, Zescht. Please.
Enzo, has anyone ever told you resemble a little bit Esteban Ocon?
Esteban Ocon.
Yes.
It depends on
Okay.
like from which angle, you know. But
Yeah,
I've never
I-
been. Okay.
I kind of
on-
thought. I kind of always thought it. There's something where I said it kind of reminds me, but you know.
Maybe it's the way we talk, but
No, it's not
Okay,
only the.
on my
you're both-
on my stream, I had
Yes.
people coming on my stream and telling me, "Oh, you look like Charles Leclerc." And
That's
I'm
not
like,
no.
I'm like, what? and now I'm being told Esteban Ocon. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? And
Ocon is
bro,
more.
Bro, I don't even have my license.
Yeah,
Bro,
but that could be the case, but I think more similar to Ocon. This is a bad picture of Ocon. This does not. Take the second one. Take the one where he smiles at the Alpine. This fits. No, the other one, the Alpine
Wait,
one.
take the second search results on Google if you take. What the hell is this?
No, that doesn't
Listen,
work. That doesn't
I
work.
just-
That's the one with the beautiful sparkle in his eyes, where he's at the Alpine and Alfred and Charles. Like,
Yes, yeah, come on. I mean, there's a little bit. I was just thinking about it because I like Ocon. I thought it kind of resembles, but maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm crazy. You know, maybe I'm just.
I mean, I could see Charles Leclerc more because you know
No. You're right.
are both fans of Ferrari, and then like Enzo, you already have like an emote of Ferrari within your emotes, no?
Yeah, of course. My name's Enzo, so
There you go.
Enzo
Ferrari.
Ferrari, yeah, of
Of
course.
There you go.
Of
So
course.
you gotta have the Charles Leclerc resemblance.
right.
yeah, a little
know what?
bit, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I keep
we've
you
learned
little.
something new today. Enzo looks like that bloke. Apparently, if you've got Zescht's prescription glasses. Well, it's that's about all the stuff we've got time for here. We've run a little over. We've had some fun. Thank you so much for joining me here, gentlemen. Zescht, anything you want to say to the people at home before we go? What do you got coming up? What are you up to?
Auf geht's, Big Junge! That's everything.
All right. Well, happy with his win for Germany, and on the other side, happy with top of the groups. We've had a good show here today, Vans. Thank you so much for hosting the first half. Of course, myself stepping in to host this one. The DMP studio for getting everything running in the background. For now, folks, we will see you next Tuesday.